I'm Sean Fennessey, and this is The Big Picture, a conversation show about slashers. We have a very special Halloween horror bonus episode, extravaganza, starring multi-time champion of the podcast, Alex Ross Perry, writer, director, amateur professional podcaster. Hi, Alex.
Happy to be here. You're in New York.
I'm here in New York.
Exciting.
Yeah.
And Big Picture fans are everywhere.
Is that true?
Well, I told you this last year. They approach you at the New York Film Festival. Approach me. Maybe now this year you as well. Happens again this year. I did encounter rabid fans out in the world.
I did have a man put his arm on my shoulder on the subway to interrupt me whilst listening to my AirPods. Well, it wasn't the ideal experience I was looking for on the subway, but you know what? He was a super nice guy. I've met a lot of nice people this week.
Yeah. Such as? What else you got?
Just a lot of brutalist boys, just a lot of bros. I sat next to a guy before a screening of Queer. Shout out to Trevor. His name is Trevor. And Trevor saw me looking for a seat at the screening. He signaled to me to come and sit with him. And I sat down. And the first thing he said to me, and you will appreciate this, is, "Yo, man, did you see the Albert Sarah documentary that is currently playing at the New York Film Festival?" And he was like, "You got to get in there. The vibes are incredible." And he was a cinema bro. He was a true cinema bro.
Do you think at this point now, Monday after opening weekend, it's undeniable that all the Joker bros from a couple years ago are just shifting their allegiance to the brutalist? This seems undeniable to me that that's going to pick up the mantle of like that exact kind of guy.
I hope that's not true.
Because they've grown up a little bit.
That's true. It's been 5 years.
Yeah, they've had a couple years to mature, and now they've gone, they're done with Arthur Fleck and they're moving on to Brady.
Can I be their Arthur Fleck? That's really the question.
I mean, I think Brady is.
Okay, all right. Well, where do I figure into this situation?
I don't know. Does Joker have a sidekick?
Am I the Commissioner Gordon in this circumstance?
Yeah,
okay,
sure.
That's cool. You're here at NYFF because you have a film.
Yeah.
Which I don't want to talk too much about your film because it's coming out next year.
Sure.
But you have been on the Whirlwind Festival tour. Pavements, your new quasi-biopic, musical hagiography of the band Pavement. And you were at Venice, and now you're at the New York Film Festival. Right. You're going to be at more festivals over the next few months. This is a weird thing. Like, what is it like to have been on the road with the movie?
Well, I've only just Venice and New York.
Okay.
And this is where I live. So it's not really the road yet. But if people want to come see it at BFI London, I don't know when this comes out. Does this episode come out imminent?
When's BFI?
It's like the 16th, 17th, and 18th.
Of October?
Yeah.
That'll be over by the time this airs.
Okay, so this is like closer.
Don't come to BFI.
Well, hopefully people came.
Okay.
I know you have a footprint at the Prince Charles where the movie's playing.
Oh, is that where it's playing?
Yeah, one of the screenings.
Oh, that's exciting.
There, so
that's a great theater, yeah.
It's playing at AFI Fest in LA.
Okay.
And like dozens of others that are going to be fun that I probably won't be at. But
why are we doing this here when we could have done it when you're coming for AFI Fest?
I don't know.
We fucked this up.
I'm only there for like a day and a half.
Okay, that's why.
And I do, to what we're going to talk about, I do want to try to finally see Universal Horror Nights, which I've never been to.
You know what? I haven't either.
Okay, so
maybe we should go.
I have 2 nights in LA, the night of the screening and another night.
Okay.
And that is currently my only plan, and unless I go alone, which was my plan. Maybe we could figure this out.
We should figure that out.
I've never been. Supposedly it's fun. It's fun. Like, festivals are a funny thing. Like, we're discussing for people in your position, for Amanda at Venice last year, you get to see 4 or 5 movies a day, which is really my preference.
You're secretly one of us, despite being an artist.
Yeah, but I never have time for, like, my obligations always preclude quadruple features, nor do I have the energy or stamina at this point in my life. But if I'm traveling and I'm away from family, could easily get in more movies in a day than I would. It's flattering, always. I mean, it's what you want, to just have that invitation to come and present the work. I guess, like, I always tell filmmakers who are younger, what's some advice? What do you think of festivals? It's like, just think of them as distribution. Like, you say it'll come out next year, and it will, by and large. But there's many places where it will touch down now for a festival, and that will be the only time people in that city get a chance to see it. And perhaps people in that city, everyone who wants to see it can see it at 2 screenings. It doesn't need to play for a week.
Do you think there's like an optimized way to see it? Like, is it better to go to a festival screening of a movie than just to see it at your local AMC or your local art house?
I guess so. I don't know if we'll ever play in an AMC. And some festivals are in AMCs though. So
did Listen Up Philip get into the AMCs?
No, definitely not. I think that our Chicago International Film Festival screening is at either an AMC or
Oh,
equivalent chain. Just 'cause
intriguing.
some festivals are there.
Okay.
It's funny. Like, it's a music documentary-ish. Obviously, like, a theater is a fun way to watch it, but it's not like these at this point. It's not like there's a lot of these things in theaters.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, you're kind of making it knowing that, and I say this as a rabid consumer of such films. Like, I probably haven't seen one in the theater in 10 years.
Interesting.
Nor have most people.
Let's not encourage people to not go see them.
Well,
in
just
theaters.
a lot of them don't play in theaters. It's
Sure.
not even that I see one come out, and I guess that's not true. I saw Meet Me in the Bathroom in theaters. Which
Okay.
was released by our same distributor, Utopia, and that was really fun. It was a really nice screening, and hopefully we can have fun events with discussions when the movie comes out. But most people, by and large, like a lot of things, a 2-hour documentary about a band or an artist or a celebrity, that's really not a theatrical component these days.
Yeah.
And that's just how it is. Like, most distributors don't specialize in it. That kind of 90s, 2000s documentary boom just doesn't really exist. And the ones that play are these like kind of feel good pieces of marketing that, you don't take seriously. I don't take seriously, so I don't go see them.
Makes sense.
It's a good thing, though. I mean, I know.
I mean, your film will be
You saw it?
will be streaming. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I love the movie. Obviously,
Well, that's
I've been
great.
hearing about it for a very long time. I'm very happy that it exists. It also, like, I actively work on music documentaries. They're very hard to do, and this movie understands them and completely disassembles and annihilates them, which is great.
Yeah, I hope so. Chris Ryan saw it.
He did.
Couldn't
Chris
be
Ryan, one of the biggest Pavement fans alive.
Came to the concert that we had, which was nice. This is where I met him after microphoning with him many times.
What'd you think? What was it like to be in his presence?
It was very exciting.
Yeah.
I didn't know he was going to be there. So it was nice. You didn't make it. I think that was when you flew here.
I would have liked to have seen the band, but I saw them in 2010, so I feel like I checked off my Pavement reunion situation.
No, it's fun. Like, for me, I love the New York Film Festival, and I love many things. Respect from afar. The goal was like, you have to make a thing that is not. How many of these kinds of movies play at these kinds of festivals?
Mm-hmm.
2 a year, maybe. Like, it's not really where these things land. But that's where we wanted to land. So this little acceptance run is like, we made a film. We didn't make a promotional piece of marketing content that just is designed only for half-watching consumption on Netflix. Like, we made a movie that is a movie. And it'll be a movie however people watch it.
What's more nerve-wracking for you? Is it waiting to see if a film gets into a festival or seeing the reception of the movie at the festival? Because at Pavements, the first night at Alice Tully Hall, the movie played great. People seem to love it.
Yeah.
But,
Best screening we'll ever have, I'm sure.
You think so?
Well, we'll never be in a room that big again.
Right.
1,200 people or so. Everyone knows that the band and many participants are there, and you've got people on the crew applauding for their names and their collaboration.
That's true.
It's definitely what you want. I think I walked into that night feeling pretty confident. It's a nice room to claim ownership of for 3 hours. Nerve-wracking. I mean, it's funny. Like, I know Amanda likes, you're the Lord of Letterboxd.
Am I?
That's what she says.
Okay. Unconfirmed.
It's funny now, like, that has become such a forceful part of film response that, like, as I thought that Bobby had written something on it, but I guess it was someone else. Possibly with the same name. We should look into this. It's still on there.
Is there a shadow Bobby?
There was like, I swear to God, it was like,
you?
I swear to God, in like the roundup that we got sent, it was like, Bobby Wagner, Letterboxd comment, like, I don't want to freak you guys out, but Greta Gerwig is in this movie. And I was like, that seems like something he would say.
It does seem like something I would say. It's definitely not what I said
there might be
about
someone
the
with the
movie.
same name. But like,
Finding out my identity has been stolen live on the Big Picture podcast.
Not
It's
shocking.
always something new.
but it's almost
gotta protect
like
yourself.
You kind of feel now like I didn't really know this because like the last time I did a movie was 6 years ago. But now with this, like, so many of people's responses and engagement is like 11:30 p.m. screening at this theater with the director introducing. Like, it's so personal
Mm-hmm.
that I kind of feel like it's turning like filmmakers into Uber drivers, where you're like, thanks guys, just like please leave a rating. Like, if your experience was good today, like 5 stars would really help us out. Like if you have any problems, like please, like, you don't have to voice your problems. Like maybe just don't give the, like it's sort of becoming like this appified thing, but like it's cool because it's real time. Like, listen up, Philip at Sundance. People are just searching for the movie on Twitter.
Right.
And it's like, who cares? And like now this is so much more geared towards movie discussion.
I have been asked if I can have comments I've left on a Letterboxd review cited on a poster for the marketing materials.
For Megalopolis.
Yeah, me and Steven Soderbergh collectively had a different reaction to that movie. But, I kind of want to be like, fuck off. Like, I'm obviously just having fun in this environment, but some people take that differently.
So the responses are fine. I mean, it's all good. Like, I just want people to take it seriously, but not that seriously, because we didn't take, it's not a very serious movie. But I hope people watch it, and I appreciate a few minutes to talk about it. You have a huge reach, and this will only help people feel like the movie is coming.
It is coming.
Yeah, it's coming.
Yeah.
Utopia, and then Mubi is doing other places around the world and streaming, and I'm just glad it's over.
Congratulations.
So long as like the Chris Ryans of the world, the diehard Pavement fans who show up and say like, I haven't seen them since '97. Who missed 2 reunion tours. That's how ground floor he is. Like, so long as people like that see it for what it is, I think we did a fine job.
Okay, how do I elegantly pivot to slashers? It's an important question.
Well, you don't have to. I mean, slasher, this could just be a conversation that somebody
stumbled into.
Like a boring conversation at the beginning of a slasher movie, and then like turns out like, then
there you go, you did it.
The doorbell rings and it's like, what's
Ding
going
dong,
on?
Yeah. I wanted to talk with you about slashers for a variety of reasons. One, I think you're a world-class expert on all things horror. We were just down at Kim's video, recording a video and talking about horror movies. In addition to being an expert, I find that slashers are in this really interesting place. They obviously have, I guess, arguably a 100-year lineage, but maybe something closer to like a 70-year lineage in movies. And the 2 interesting ones have come out this year. The first, of course, is Terrifier 3. Which is the 3rd film in the Terrifier series.
It's not come out. Or it's screened?
By this moment, it will be out.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So there's Terrifier 3, which is
I still haven't seen 2. I've only seen the first one, so I don't...
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'll fill you in. I assumed you hadn't seen 3 too, but...
Yeah, I'm kind of hoping that someone screens 2 and 3 together.
I think
so that
is happening.
Because I just missed it.
You know who I think is doing that?
Fathom Events?
AMC.
Okay. Great.
Which is hilarious when you understand what the Terrifier
but
films are.
That's kind of where Terrifier made all of its money. Like
it did.
It was in those mainstream.
It played like 800 theaters and somehow made, I think, north of $12 million, Terrifier 2, which made it really one of the independent horror events of the decade. And now the 3rd film in the series is coming out this month. And it's sort of like a true blue slasher in extremis. Like, it is so absurdly over stylized in its kill sequences and so gory that the marketing is always oriented around people getting really sick and vomiting in the aisles.
Yeah.
I've seen the 3rd movie. I liked the 3rd movie not as much as the 2nd film. The 2nd film does feature this like remarkable centerpiece kill sequence in a bedroom.
The first one has like a totally remarkable centerpiece.
This new one, the best kill sequence in my opinion. Well, there are 2. There's like shower kill scene that is excellent, and then the opening scene is amazing. But then that movie is really more in your like standard, if you're obsessed with the Tom Savinis of the world, you kind of marvel at the practical effects. And then the other one is In a Violent Nature. Have you seen In a Violent Nature?
I did finally catch up with it. Yeah, it's like everything, I miss it. And then I'm eager for it to come out. And then we waited long enough that my wife was like, well, now we just have to wait until it's horror season. Like, we're not going to watch this movie in August if we can just wait a month and then watch it when the Halloween decorations are up. So we watched it fairly recently.
So In a Violent Nature is directed by Chris Nash. It's his debut feature. I had him on the show, I think in May when the movie first came out.
And I just had to have that interview, like sitting on there waiting. I was like, I'll see the movie at some point, and then I'll just listen to this.
Did you hear it?
Yeah, as soon as I maybe the day after I finally watched it, I was like, now I can finally listen to this interview.
You're a good friend. So that movie is sort of a deconstruction, sort of a big wet kiss to the slasher movie. And they operate like both kind of on the fringes of the mainstream horror. I would say those 2 movies live. And slashers over time have been some of the most popular horror movies. And so at times they have been like really the outskirts of the genre. Like, what's your relationship to the genre in general?
Well, I'll say, like, is this coming out? Are you guys doing like because I'll send you a message and be like, what's like the Halloween recommendations episode this year?
That'll be the week before this episode comes out.
Because I look forward to that.
Chris and I will be doing it. I promise.
Helps me fill in the gaps. So I do miss things. It's funny, like, I think, as is obvious for me and for anybody, like, as we were just talking about when you and Chris came to film down at the Kim's Video collection that I've sort of resuscitated in a the killer's back for another another sequel kind of way.
It is kind of a Jason-esque return.
Down at the Alamo in Manhattan with Sean Price Williams and bringing the collection that we used to work with back. As we were talking about with you guys down there, like, if you're a teenager and you're getting into horror movies, this is where you go. This is chapter 1. Maybe you're seeing Poltergeist or some other totemic haunted movie. But by and large, most people's, curriculum of the beginning of their horror life is, I should see these 10 horror movies, these 5 movies that are slashers. So they're just kind of fundamental. I mean, there's not a lot you can, if you've made it this far, you probably don't need us to talk about what slashers mean to us. But to me, they're just like, they're the purest. They're the best. Oftentimes, they're the simplest. Oh, this reminds me. I have a present for you that
goodness.
I can give you on mic.
Oh my gosh!
It's in my backpack. Oh, I'll get it. I forgot about the present that I deliberately wanted to, give you during the show for good content material, especially now that we have video.
Is it's slasher related?
Sure. Yeah.
Okay.
Thanks. But like, it's like, what do you say? What do you say about something that's like inextricably linked from your love of a genre that you love deeply? That's unrelated to what we're talking about. That's a Pavement Museum sticker or a magnet. But you'll remember what this is. But
oh yes, of course, I forgot. So this is a Profundo Rosso, aka Deep Red button.
That's a magnet. There's a button.
Oh, it's a magnet, and there's
a.
Oh wow, okay. And this is also Deep Red? This is not Kill Baby Kill, right?
That's right.
Yeah. Okay. So this is obviously the Dario Argento movie.
Yeah.
And you got this where?
I got this for you in Rome, where I was on my way to Venice. Argento, I guess in 88 or so, 89, started a video store in Rome. And then the basement of it is a chamber of horrors with props from his films and many other films he produced or worked on, or films made by proteges of his. And I went there and I bought myself a fair amount of merch, and I was tasked with getting you a t-shirt, and they didn't have shirts in the size you requested.
You really fucked me on that one.
Well, I didn't know if you wanted the one that I ended up getting, which was, you wanted one with like the store's logo, which is on the magnet, which is very classy. And the one I got is a photo of the girl on her knees from Bava's Demons. And then it just says in Italian, The Chamber of Horrors of Dario Argento. And I wore this to the New York Film Festival the other day. In the span of my time out, 2 people asked me if they could take a picture of the shirt as I wore my Jason Goes to Hell shirt, specifically because I know you love the film so much.
I don't like Jason Goes to Hell.
And we've talked about it.
Yeah.
You agree that Friday the 13th is an unimpeachable franchise.
No,
and this is
it's wildly flawed.
Another 3-star film in a franchise lousy with them. But, slashes are just the ultimate. But like, I really don't even know what to say beyond that, except like, they've almost become quaint now. And I think that's kind of a boring thing because they've been replaced by stuff that I like far less.
So
this is why In a Violent Nature was so awesome to me.
I'm glad to hear that you liked it. I assumed you would like it.
Yeah, I thought it was great. Like, it's the rare thing where you wait 4 months to watch something that is overhyped, and then you watch it and it exceeds your expectations.
Yeah,
it's very,
I felt
very
the same
special
way.
when that happens. And you're just 10 minutes in. I'm like, I can't believe no one ever thought of this before. Same thing you think when you watch Blair Witch. You're like, I cannot believe no one ever thought, what if I make a slasher movie that you just follow the killer in between the scenes and just see what he does? He just does nothing. He just wanders slowly from place to place. Like, what an incredible idea. This is all I've ever wanted to see.
It is a very, very smart take on those kinds of movies. It's funny because these movies have recurrences and hallmarks, often teenagers under attack, under this veil of morality. Sometimes they're, aggrieved or psychotic killers. Sometimes there's a supernatural element. Sometimes there's not. In some of the franchises, it kind of varies back and forth where it becomes a very supernatural franchise and then it reels back to something that is either more ethereal or more straightforward. Do you have like a preference for this kind of slasher?
No. Like if
Just like them all.
If it's good, it's good. I mean, I'm pretty happy to go along for the ride. Obviously, I like the most. like a real meat and potatoes kind of movie.
Mm-hmm.
And these are the obvious ones that we'll soon be citing, I'm sure. The video thing makes me really uncomfortable. I've been getting like, I did all these video interviews for the New York Film Festival. And I know that I'm like a fidgeter, but watching myself on video, even like a few minutes at a time, I'm like sent a 3-minute clip of me on the red carpet. And it's like, my hands never stop moving.
Uh-huh.
I touch my face like every 5 seconds.
Uh-huh.
And like, it's just unbelievable how unappealing it is to watch yourself.
You're actually making me feel calm because I have like shaky leg for sure.
Yeah.
And
always.
I am constantly resetting how I sit. Is the subject matter making you nervous?
No,
at all?
I'm very.
I feel like you should be at home here.
Yeah, I am. I mean, it's actually the only problem with all this festival stuff is it's been taking away from a horror movie a night.
I was honestly thinking about that. Under normal circumstances at this time of year, I'm doing the same thing as you.
I have many blackout days of no horror movies at home in the weeks ahead with festival travel.
You're lucky because you have a very willing partner.
Mm-hmm.
Your wife is she'll sit with you through the gnarliest
we started like
stuff.
September 15th. We got a little bit of a head start.
Is your kid going to get into horror movies, you think?
Well, so she, I think is into it. There's a lot of like kids entertainment that is spooky adjacent.
Mm-hmm.
And she likes all of that. Someone recently sent me a playlist of old-timey spooky cartoons, Skeleton Dance, things like that.
Yeah, sure.
And she just saw it on my computer and started watching them.
And she was into it.
Kind of sat in my lap and just kept watching them. I think she's ready for it.
Okay.
She's very intrigued by the presence in the world of Beetlejuice.
Oh.
Who, because of a band called Ghost, who I work with a lot, who I made a concert film with that came out this year, a similar black and white corpse painty figurehead.
Mm-hmm.
And we have a lot of Ghost stuff around the house. She thinks that he's the same. So
Beetlejuice and Ghost.
She, big black circles around the eyes, like 3.5 years old. What are you gonna extrapolate?
Well, when Beetlejuice came out, I was saying that movie for a lot of people, probably myself included, I was 6 when that movie came out, was a gateway to a certain kind of horror. That's not a slasher movie, although there are some amusingly fun practical effects that are very slashery, actually very Terrifier-y. The Gina Davis like ripping her face off feels like something you might see in Terrifier.
She's ready. I don't know if
feels early. Feels early
for Beetlejuice, but like I will say for those with kids looking to put on some Halloween stuff, there's like something on Disney Plus that's like stop motion Mickey and Friends telling spooky campfire stories.
Oh, we've seen it.
It's really good.
Oh yeah, we've seen it many times.
It's quite strong, and it's like 5 3-minute ones, and then like a 30-minute one.
Yes, the 30-minute one is like all oriented around a witch, right?
Yeah,
and they're like all dressed up for Halloween. It's
they
great.
all turn into their Halloween costumes.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, it's really good. So she likes stuff like that, and a show on Disney Plus also called Vampirina she really likes.
Oh yeah, we haven't watched that.
It's like a little vampire family.
Do you remember the first slasher you ever saw?
I mean, any memory I have at this point, I assume is probably false.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I couldn't tell you if it was putting on Halloween or something. But I don't know. I mean, I just couldn't even begin to guess. We've talked about this before, like, because we grew up in the moment of Scream. Like, it's not possible that Scream was the first slasher that I saw because I would have been 12. So I certainly would have seen other ones on video by that point.
Did you see it in theaters, Scream?
Scream? Yeah.
Do you think it's the first slasher you saw in a movie theater?
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
And we talked about that also because for us, there had been no mainstream horror for 5 years in movie theaters at that time. So it hit exactly when we were wanting to go to the theater with friends and be scared. But I'm sure I saw all those movies around the same time.
I've told this story many times, but since I'm wearing the Profundo Rosso button and I have the magnet now, because I saw Scream in a movie theater and I was 13 or 14 when it came out, that kicked off an obsession beyond just video store interests. And I'm sure that led very directly into seeing all of those Argento movies. And that when people were like, do you want to watch this Hatchet killer movie? I was like, absolutely. That sounds like great content to me.
Yeah, Scream is more of a syllabus than a cul-de-sac.
Exactly.
Like watching the Halloween movies on Sci-Fi Channel marathons late at night, while delightful and upsetting for me in a suburban house, is a cul-de-sac.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like you watch them and you're like, oh, now I need to see 10 other movies. Maybe you watch the first one and you think, now I need to watch the rest of the franchise. But I do feel like the role of the slasher now, as you're saying, like kind of is like anything, evolve or die.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Because the sort of bunch of people go to a location and get picked off one by one. I don't know how exciting that would be to people. People seem to want more from their horror movies these days. Not me, but...
Did you ever think about making one in this mode?
Yeah, I mean that'd be the kind of thing I would want to make.
Mm-hmm.
The problem is, I say having, put my foot over the line of trying to do this is like people just want deeper meaning in a horror movie now, which I am resistant to and don't care about as an audience member, and I certainly don't care about it as a creator. It's just, I remember when Ty was making X, he was like, "Yeah, I just need, it has to be something unelevated. It's time to unelevate what the genre has become," and that's exactly what he did, and it's remarkable.
I would say the Terrifier is the same.
That's what I liked about the first one.
Yeah, Terrifier is kind of bereft of meaning on purpose, and that it is just like it is a pure frenzy of pain.
Yeah, I don't
in
know
A Violent Nature,
did you get more of that?
Did you think in A Violent Nature though you could read into it a lot of deep ideas if you want to?
Right, you could, but I mean,
you don't have to enjoy it.
You don't have to.
Okay,
it's not about those ideas.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
The starting point of that is this aesthetic conceit, which is done incredibly.
What do you think about that though? Because I've heard you talk about this subgenre before, like memorably appeared on Blank Check episode about Halloween. Halloween is a movie that has held up against various forms of interpretation over the years. Like that's a movie that has had dissertations, deep studies of film history pitched against Carpenter's movie. Like, is that something that you're interested in exploring when you see one of these movies, or do you just want to be entertained?
I mean, I just want to be entertained, especially now where I can barely stay awake through the end of the day. Yeah, I mean, I'm not like I'm not a philosopher. And this is like the answer to your question is why I say what I'm about to say, and people always chortle at me, but say, "Oh, that can't be true." It's like I'm not a cinephile. Cinephiles want to watch anything and look for deeper meaning and make connections of his. I can do that if my brain takes me there, but mostly I'm just there for what I liked about In a Violent Nature, which is just this is visceral aesthetic playfulness that is both violent, upsetting, and original. That's what I'm here for. Like I don't need to think that much about. Like I don't know. It just feels my brain doesn't have enough bandwidth anymore to do those things. But then, like, I don't know. People enjoy thinking about stuff that way.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like, I don't know. I don't know how to think about things that way anymore. And like another recent one that I'm sure is kind of the same that I missed that I'll catch up with this year was Thanksgiving.
Mm-hmm.
That seemed pretty back to basics.
I really enjoyed it.
I know, and I really wanted to see it, and I don't know why I didn't see it last November. It just kind of passed me by.
Yeah, I think to 90% of slashers, I don't want to say I check my brain at the door, but I don't spend a lot of time analyzing what it means. Thanksgiving is a good example of like, it's a pure throwback movie. It's an homage to a very specific subgenre of slasher, which is sort of like the holiday slasher. But it was a movie that I was there just for the kills.
Yeah.
I was there for fun kills, and the kills are really fun in that movie.
And the thing I've attempted to make a few times both is and is not. Like there's a meaning behind the idea that I had, but another idea I had was like, what if I just made a 95-minute movie with a lot of gnarly violence in it? That, yes, I could explain like the other thing it's about, but also like, who cares?
Right.
The thing that's like, so we watched, not as prep for this, but I know you're a big VHS fan.
I am.
Of the series.
Yes.
Not the
I haven't
medium.
seen the new one yet.
Yeah, we watched it last night because I thought maybe it would come up.
Yeah, I still haven't caught up with it.
Yeah.
How was it?
It was really good.
Yeah, I feel like they're all at a minimum good.
We realized like 3 segments in that this one, I don't know if this is just because the franchise has become too important or too dependable, but usually like the edges get sanded off of things and they get worse.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's like Shudder takes this so seriously that they just don't have terrible segments in them anymore.
Yeah.
Like everything is like 3 segments in when you're like, there hasn't been one that 5 minutes in, you're like, oh my God, this one's going to be rough. And they're kind of all great, but during one of them, and this one has a sort of sci-fi conceit.
Okay.
Which I was really nervous about because I don't really care for or need that.
Mm-hmm.
Not like, you're saying some slashers become like fantasy or supernatural, like not that, but like sci-fi conceit. And I was like, how's that going to go? And everyone was kind of perfect.
Do you remember who made that one?
They're all sci-fi. The entire that's the conceit of this.
Beyond represents science
like
fiction.
all 5 of them are vaguely sci-fi adjacent.
Okay. VHS Beyond is it the 5th or the 6th
I think
edition?
it could be the 7th.
7th. Wow. Okay.
Do you think you could name them off the top of your head?
No, VHS, VHS2, VHS 8,
SVHS.
SVHS, excuse me.
I think so that's
85,
I think there's 85, 94, and 99.
And was there a 99?
I think so.
99. And so,
this could
that
be
would be
7th.
6. Is that 7?
Well, if there's 1, 2, and S.
1, 2,
and then
S.
3
Oh,
with
yeah,
the
right.
years.
Right. 85,
And there might have been
94.
a 94. This could be 8. Looks like Bobby's got an answer.
There is a 94.
Is there a 99?
There's a 99 as well, an 85 Beyond, which you guys mentioned. There's also a VHS Viral in 2014.
yeah.
Viral.
That's right, yeah.
So is this the 8th VHS
It was
film
9th.
or the 9th?
I only count 7.
Okay.
It's a lot. And
Pretty.
this
I
one
mean,
did-
catching up to some of the most
I
hallowed
know.
slasher franchises.
And now is like an annual treat. Like this is an event to drop these on Shudder. But
It
there was
is.
one that we were watching. They're all slashers in a way. Everyone
Mhm.
is dead by the end of every one of them.
Yep.
Not a spoiler. And then 3 minutes into one of them last night, my wife just goes, all these characters are pleasantly detestable. And you're just like, yeah, I'm excited for them to die. Like every character that I've met in the last 3 minutes, I am now already just eager for their demise, which to me is like wonderful slasher logic that if you're not building a movie around a final girl or a franchise starter, that's what's fun about these. It's like, what I'm enjoying about this is that every one of these characters is probably going to die in the next 20 minutes.
It's always great too how, a number of good or great actors have started their careers in movies like this. Kevin Bacon in Friday the 13th, part 2, right? Is he in part? No, he's in part
He's
1.
one,
He's
yeah.
in 1. Is often cited, Jennifer Aniston in Leprechaun.
Yeah.
There are a lot of examples of that. And the sort of like
I believe
ugly-
this run of, I believe that you're doing a bit from Maxine, where she's like famous actress who got their start.
That is a bit from Maxine for sure. There's something primal about the
DiCaprio in Critters 3.
true. Something primal about the like ugliness of the actor persona that is ramped up. Like when it's like playing an annoying teen who only wants to have sex is the mode that you're pitched into when you're a 19-year-old ingenue.
Yeah.
It's kind of ingenious.
It is, yeah. It's like, it's a diverse thing. And like, I bring you your Profundo Rosso stuff. And, the Giallo movies, like we just watched this Blu-ray that I bought, called A Blade in the Dark.
Yeah.
Which is Lamberto Bava movie, which was fine. But it's people in a house and one by one they get killed and you're kind of like, who's doing it? And that's it. Like that's the template. And it's either based on the characters or it's based on the killers. And you can kind of have it both ways. Yeah, I feel like this isn't very interesting. I feel
I do.
I feel like this
disagree.
is just like we both love, it's like, what do I love about them? Like just vibes, man. Like this is, I just love watching them. And
I do think there is a whole philosophy of these movies. I just don't know if that philosophy is real or forced upon the subgenre because people love these movies so much. They're so persistent,
Yeah, I mean, saw this movie last year at a marathon that I think is just called Nightmare.
Mm-hmm.
You
I
know
know
this
it.
movie?
I do.
It's like a deeply,
It's the one on the box, the hands, right?
I don't know the box because I saw it at the
Oh,
theater.
yeah. Okay.
I think it's just recently been shortly after the screening. I think it came out on Blu-ray
Okay.
with a whole bunch of features, but it was like a deeply Freudian psychological like mess of a character, but it's also just really violent and 85 minutes long. And it's like kind of have it both ways. I don't know. Some of these
Yeah.
things are pretty incredible.
It is kind of the sour candy of horror movies, we're sort of like, I'm not
That
sure
you
this
love-
is
and that
good
you
for
love
me,
it.
but I can't stop eating it and
Yeah.
I'll always get it if I can. And if there's a new one, I run towards it immediately.
Yeah, it's pretty fun. Like there's at the there's a all 35 millimeter drive-in that I love out in central Pennsylvania called the Mahoning, and they do Labor Day weekend every year, Camp Blood, which is all slashers.
Yeah.
And I've gone to this. I missed it this year due to being in Venice, which was very upsetting for me. A very lousy trade-off, in my opinion, ultimately. Of
What a bummer having to
I
go to
mean-
Venice to debut your film.
well, they were showing all 10 Friday the 13th films across 4 nights.
You can watch those any night of the week.
I know,
Alex.
but the thing is, like, all the nerds there know that 5 never screens on 35.
That's true.
And apparently the print they had was like Spanish subtitled or German subtitled or something.
Okay.
But I've gone every year to that since 2019. And it's just, a triple feature of slasher films. And the lineup is always, like, yeah, you're watching Tobe Hooper's Funhouse, you're watching Sleepaway Camp, you're watching Pieces. It's a perfect night. Like 3 different movies, bunch of people get killed in each one. They're all the same length. What more do you want? You wouldn't necessarily have the same joy of watching a triple feature of fill in the blank other kind of movies.
Right,
Like,
Bergman movies. Yeah.
well, that would be a different kind of experience.
Yes.
But like, you know, three supernatural movies, you know, that would be fun. And, you know, that's certainly something you could do.
Mhm.
And they do it out at the Mahoning also. And I missed that also for being in Venice. They did like a supernatural weekend, but like, you know, like 3 exorcism movies in a row. You'd
Mhm.
see a lot of the same thing. And like 3 slashers in a row, it's like, well, Funhouse takes place at a carnival and Sleepaway Camp takes place at camp. These are totally different movies. Like, this is great here. I'm getting a real diversity of experience.
I'm glad you see it that way. I mean, I feel similarly. Setting is like a crucial part of these movies. Camp is a recurring space for
Camp is
films.
good,
Camp
yeah.
and sororities and
Right.
high schools. These are like a common
Yeah.
setting for these movies. Do you have a favorite setting for the first slasher?
Jeez. I mean, my favorite setting is the suburbs because it upset me the most as a kid who grew up in a similarly anonymous place.
Mm-hmm.
That's not like if someone was like, you can pick one to make. It's not what I would pick, but it's the ones that affect me the most because those houses look the most. You know, I didn't grow up down the street from a slaughterhouse in Texas, but
Where do you think these start?
start.
Yeah. What is the first slasher in your mind? Because there's some debate about this.
Yeah, I feel like sometimes on Criterion they'll put up like 30s or 40s horror movies, and it's like this proto slasher. Like
Yeah.
we just watched one of these like earlier this year that I will never remember the name of, but it was like showgirl and like people were being picked off one by one in the show she was in. Oh
Mhm.
God, I wish I could remember the name of this, but certainly no chance I could do that. I don't know. I mean, I don't know. That's like
I feel like if you're-
that's a critical question. That's not. I mean, that's like either a nerds behind the counter question
Uh-huh.
or like a critical analysis question.
Well, you're one of those at least, you know.
I am one of those, but yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'm sure there's like movies in the 50s where people get killed one after the other.
I feel like if your movie doesn't have blood, then it can't be a slasher.
Right, but movies couldn't have blood for a while, so.
Right. So then they didn't exist then, right?
Yeah, but it's like what defines it? Blood and visceral kills or like a series of circumstances where people are killed one at a time by a masked killer who is eventually unmasked or stopped.
Mm-hmm.
Like that is a very, you know how like sometimes on AI it'll be like you'll see like a thing that gets sent to you that's like an AI generated thing that'll be like Star Wars if it was made as like a 50s Technicolor thing.
Yeah.
You know, like-
I've been the one making those actually. Yeah.
Congratulations on
Yeah,
that.
thank you. Yeah, I'm really proud of that work that AI has been making for me.
But you know, you could easily see the like,
What if Wes Anderson made Halloween?
well, sure, but sounds great.
Yeah.
But you could see
Were you
like
the guy who made Princess Mononoke
I
with
did.
AI?
I made it live action. Yeah, I'm really proud
remade
of
the
that.
trailer.
Yeah.
And you
see
funded
one?
that, right,
Yeah,
Alex?
that was good.
Yeah, that
You were
person
really
should
into
be shot in the
no, I
face.
haven't
honestly.
seen that. I've only seen it if you made it. If you didn't make it, I didn't see
Yeah,
it.
okay. I'm
But like you can
auteur
see
of
somebody
AI.
doing like this is Friday the 13th if it was made as a 30s Universal movie, or this is Nightmare on Elm Street if it was a Val Lewton movie. Like I would look at a slideshow of those. I bet those would look neat.
Yeah, there's definitely. Is it The Eyes of Dr. X? Like that, there are movies that are like the
Those
Prowler.
Michael Curtiz movies were
Yeah,
on Criterion last year. There was another one of those, like these bizarre 30s Technicolor Academy ratio horror movies. And I was like, what are these?
But that have so much implied violence, but
Mhm.
you're almost never seeing the kills.
Yeah.
Or the Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde films, or the Jack the Ripper movies from
Yeah.
those times. Like those movies are all ostensibly about the same thing
Yeah.
as these movies. Most people cite Psycho as the granddaddy, the baby,
Yeah.
the beginning of it. Do you see it that way?
Probably.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure there's a case to be made that there's things, but that movie resembles movies we still have.
Right.
Nothing you're listing resembles movies we still have.
Right.
So
Although
that's
it would be cool if someone did try to make like a Curtiz style thriller
Yeah.
in the present day. That would be interesting.
I mean, I guess that's,
Sort of what David Fincher does.
I guess so. I was
Yeah.
going to say like kind of what Nosferatu looks like just a classical cinema throwbacky.
More of a gothic.
Yeah. I
horror.
mean, that's kind of
yeah.
what you had before then, but it's obviously not slasher. I'm trying to think like in real time. I'm sorry. I'm just letting myself down here.
No, I mean,
and you as well, but like,
I think it's legitimately. I think Psycho, Peeping Tom, and Blood and Black
Right.
Lace coming out in a relative closeness.
I mean, I love those like 30s and 40s horror movies a lot, especially like in recent years. I've come to really enjoy those.
Mm-hmm.
like Murders at the Zoo.
Mm-hmm.
I think I forget who made that movie. And like the Island of Lost Souls, like that's not but like some of the horror stuff from that time is really cool despite not being violent. Like you can just say Psycho, and I'm sure there's like I would love to see someone put in front of me a list of 20 pre-Psycho slasher movies.
Maybe we can program that after this.
Yeah.
But I think those 3 movies, which are kind of tightly focused on individual killers, and spend a lot of time like almost in the perspective of the killer. Like, whose perspective do you like to see the most in those movies?
Well, I don't know.
Depends. Just depends on how good the film is.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like watching Funhouse would be enhanced by sticking with the killer.
Yeah.
And then obviously Sleepaway Camp and stuff like that, you're concealing who the killer. The thing I don't really like that much, obviously a lot of great movies do this. If I had to pick one of like, it's Michael Myers doing this, it's Leatherface doing this, or it's more of a whodunit, I would not choose the whodunit.
Okay.
I do prefer ones that are like, this is the thing that needs to be stopped, instead of what Scream then does successfully, which is like you're waiting to the end to find out what's going on.
Okay.
Because I feel like in a lot of those movies, including Blade in the Dark, it got to the end and both my wife and I were like, oh, I forgot about that character. And then it's like, great. And then the credits roll and you're like, okay. Instead of just like reveling in the pleasures of what's happening, you're like, oh, I think it's this person. Oh, well, now they've been killed. So now I'm like, that's fun too. But it's my second preference.
Sometimes though, I think that these are the best. Like Tenebrae does a thing with its killer reveal that has been done before, but I think is like the most satisfying version of the whodunit, where it's like he has been right in front of you the entire time.
Yeah, Italians kind of can't get away from that. I mean, we were talking, we sort of had like a mixed reaction to this Lamberto Bava movie. Like, I do really prefer the Italian movies with a hint of supernatural. Argento strikes that with Inferno and
Suspiria.
Kind of splits the difference. And I, despite getting you all this merch from Profondo Rosso, like I do prefer that over the like Black Glove and a Blade killer.
We differ on that. I think those are my preferred.
Yeah. So I mean, I don't know why. For some reason, I just click with the other ones a little bit more.
The 70s is obviously an important period here. Like picking the Hall of Fame is a complicated act.
I'm very
for
excited
this.
to do it. I feel like Hall of Fames are a real privilege.
They are. This is the important work. It's being canonized in the great halls of the Brutalist boys, who are taking care of us long term, making letterbox lists, charting our history.
These are you're really sticking with this Brutalist boys thing. These are your people now.
I mean, all cinema lovers are my people. If they love the Brutalists, that's great. If they love Rocket Man, that's cool too. Like we accept all comers.
Yeah, when you say it just calls to mind the Van Buren boys on Seinfeld. Like it's just like what a phrase.
I mean, I don't think that the Brutalists, when the world sees it, are really going to think that this is a movie that requires like a clubhouse full of cinephiles. It's an extremely you'll be standing there on Christmas Day with that clubhouse. Well, yeah. I mean, I like the work. I support the work.
Do you like Brutalist architecture, or has this movie introduced you to it?
No, I knew what it was before, but I can't say I've fully adopted it. I will say there are some extraordinary examples of it in the film.
Do you think that like all your boys are going to now like get really into architecture because of this movie?
When I say boys, I want people to know that is non-gender affirming. That is,
there will be no women going to the map for the Brutalist. I'm sorry to tell you.
I completely disagree. I will find these women and I will celebrate with them.
Well, I wish you the best with that. 3-hour-long historical projected on film drama released by A24.
You don't think women like that?
I'm seeing a long line for the men's room during that intermission, if I'm being honest.
You may be right.
Women will see this movie, but I think you'll find that your wife will get to and from the restroom before you even move.
Will my wife even see this film is the question.
I'm going to say, I don't know her, but I'm going to say no.
You know what the challenge is? This is a tough movie for parents. Who's got 4.5 hours that they can burn?
Nobody.
See this feature. It's a tough one. And also, like, you can't stream this movie. You should be shot if you go watch that movie on streaming.
No comment on that. But
as someone who will soon stream it.
There's no chance I'll see it any other way.
Oh, come on. What do you mean?
I don't have time for that.
You're not going to go to the cinema?
I missed Terrifier 2 because it was too long.
Yeah, that's crazy. That was 2 hours and 20 minutes.
don't have
Terrifier 3 shorter than Terrifier 2.
I know. I like the sound of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's part of why I just didn't make it to see Terrifier 2. I liked everything about it, and I was hyped to see it. So much so that I watched the first one as prep, and I just didn't make it.
That's insane. You should go immediately.
I would like to, but, I don't have time.
Life intervenes.
The only time it's easy to see a movie is like 11:30 in the morning, because then I don't need to get a babysitter.
That's right.
Or childcare, or apologize to my wife.
I think that's Amanda's preferred time to see all movies.
Sticking her with bedtime so I can go watch a movie that she's like, why don't you just go see this during the day tomorrow?
This is real talk. We may be narrowing our audience, but who's doing bedtime versus I have to go to the movie.
Grow up and have a lot of kids.
Well, not if they stay brutalist boys. They'll never meet a woman, That's the problem.
You said it.
Yeah.
But they'll be like one
go meet one woman today.
One beautiful romance will be formed at a screening of The Brutalist of people who meet in line during the intermission.
What if it's just a generation of men who choose to adopt children despite never meeting a woman or meeting a partner for that matter? They just adopt and become a single parent, and they show them the great works of cinema. I don't see a problem with that.
Well, and I encourage you to start that adoption agency at Vidiots on weekends. Like, you can bring all the kids out, but
I have a lot of recommendations for them.
Yeah, no, I mean, watching a movie at home for me is not an admission of like anything other than like, it's either this or I just don't see it.
Right. No, that's fair.
It's not my job to watch movies like it is yours.
It is in a way, though.
It's not.
But it is though. You're current with the culture.
I mean, I guess so, but then all I do with my time is like bring home obscure horror VHSs from Kim's and watch them instead of like keeping up with contemporary cinema.
Right. Okay, how do we do this? How do we pick these 10?
I mean,
there's a handful that are blind in, right?
But I also feel like sometimes for Hall of Fame, you're like, this is like, here's the entire filmography. Let's just run through this. And obviously that's not possible. I mean, which means that like tomorrow I'll remember one of my favorite slashers that neither one of us thought of.
Well, I think we have to do some combination of the essentials, idiosyncratic personal picks that can be supported.
Right.
And then kind of the new class, the last 25 years that need to be represented in some way.
Okay.
So I have kind of like sort of off the top of my head organized this in some way.
Let me look at my phone.
Okay.
Annoying to do on camera, but I have in here. I think I should have my previous Camp Blood lists, of what I've seen at Camp Blood while you start doing this.
Okay, so I have the first section that I've mapped out here is quote unquote the big ones. So these are kind of historically important and or persistent franchises that were launched before 1985. So that includes Psycho, Peeping Tom, and Black Lace, as I mentioned.
Psycho. Okay, these are, you're just listing them.
I'm just listing right now, and then of course Texas Chainsaw Massacre and Black Christmas.
Yeah.
Bob Clark's Black Christmas.
We're still proto-ish.
We're pre-franchise right now, although Chainsaw is a franchise. Then we've got the Argento run and Giallo having a period.
Yeah.
And then Halloween, Friday the 13th, Nightmare on Elm Street.
Right.
And then, do you think that Dress to Kill and Body Double and the De Palma films fit the mold here?
Yeah.
So then,
I mean, Body Double, the killer, the implement of killing is not dissimilar from, is it House on Sorority Row or Slumber Party Massacre that has the drill?
That's Slumber Party Massacre. Yeah.
That's very similar
to corkscrew spinning drill. Yeah.
That's exactly what you see in Body Double.
Yeah.
It's hard not to include it. It's obviously so much more than that.
I mean, the problem with that,
I feel like it'd be really fun to just discount those because they're just too much of a movie,
also their weight of influence is so, it's like if you put Psycho in, Psycho is doing so much of the work that the De Palma movies are riffing on, and the things that are not like Psycho or not like the other Hitchcock slashers are complex in different ways. I mean, okay, so let's just keep going through these other sections that I've pitched. So then there's like 80s essentials.
Right.
And these are now kind of Shudder / Tubi classics.
Yeah.
Movies that are pretty readily available on streaming, some of whom have spawned franchises, some of whom have been kind of left where they are but are beloved. So here's the list that I made, and tell me if you think there's anything missing from here,
Okay.
just off the top of your head. So Silent Night, Deadly Night, which is a personal favorite of mine. Prom Night,
Mhm.
Jamie Lee Curtis vehicle. My Bloody Valentine,
Yeah.
which is one of the key early
I
ones.
do love that movie.
The Child's Play series.
Right.
Sleepaway Camp, which you mentioned. Beloved. The Hitcher, which I think qualifies.
Yeah, I like The Hitcher.
Pieces, which you've
'cause
been
I saw at the drive-in.
advocating for years on this show.
Love Pieces.
The Prowler
Yeah.
and The Burning.
Yeah. Well, The Burning I really love.
So I'm sure there are others, and some people would argue, well, what
Yeah.
about this and why not this? But when I think of the 80s slashers and the super
Right.
low budget and like get them in 700 theaters and,
Right.
become video store classics, like those are the ones
Right.
that sprung to
Have you
mind.
seen that like New York Magazine list from like a couple years ago that's like, here's the 42 slashers released in 1981? It's like 1 year that like,
It's crazy. I haven't seen that
it's
list.
just like, it's either 81 or 82. And someone was like, this is the year that like, there's almost a slasher a week if you spread it out. And I've looked through it and I'm like, God, I've only seen half of these.
Yes.
Like this list goes, like there's some of these that are like D level.
That's another reason why I love this subgenre is it's kind of like those 30s horror movies where you are always discovering a new one, or
Yeah.
there's always been one on your list that you haven't been able to check off, and you can go through your entire life and never catch up with these
I
because they're so
know.
easy to make.
And it's funny because like now wanting to do movies at home and wanting to have a movie a night at Halloween season, even if you have a partner who's supportive of this, it's very hard to be like, tonight's choice is a like potentially D-level slasher.
Yes.
I forget if it's not called Rush Week. It might be. But like some DVD I had like 100 years ago that's like, this is just a campus slasher. There's nothing distinct about it. It's either called Rush Week or Finals Week or something, but like, it's really hard to be like, tonight's movie is, exactly what you're going to get. It has no chance of being better than you think.
Mm-hmm.
And instead of something that might be great, we're going to watch this. Like, those are not necessarily fun to just watch at home. But if it's part of a double or a triple feature, it becomes like a deliriously great watch.
Mm.
I almost feel like the way you've laid this out for the Hall of Fame's sake, where there are no rules, I feel like the way you're saying it, I almost want to have like slots reserved.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you have to have something from the holiday.
Uh-huh.
Like,
I
maybe
agree.
you need a Christmas one. Maybe you need a prom night, April Fool's Day, Valentine's Day, graduation day. Leprechaun is, whatever. Call that St.
Mother's
Patrick's
Day. Yeah.
Yeah, like maybe you need one thing that's like, then they made a movie that's just like the name of a holiday. Halloween accepted.
My instinct was that Silent Night, Deadly Night could stand in for all of those movies.
Right.
Because I think it's such an exceptional
Yeah.
example of these
Okay.
kinds of movies. But we can talk through it.
Yeah.
There's two other categories here plus a miscellaneous category that
Okay.
I'll run through for you. There's something I'm calling the rebirth,
Okay.
which is kind of when you and I come into the picture here.
Yeah.
So that includes Candyman. I think Candyman before Scream.
Right.
Scream.
Yeah.
You've got the Saw films.
Yeah.
High Tension,
Right.
the French film.
This is your curated list of what's.
This is just my.
You're skipping past your urban legends. I know what you did last summer.
I do have them represented here in
Okay.
a different category. The Rob Zombie films, Wrong Turn,
Okay.
of which there have now been like 9.
You love Wrong Turn.
I do like Wrong Turn. I've also added Knife and Heart to this list,
Yeah, I
but
still haven't seen that.
that might also be in the new old class. The new old class is the last-ish category. So that includes The Strangers,
Mhm.
Haunt, Scream, X, Terrifier, and then this interesting thing that is happening that we didn't really talk about, but like the teen-friendly streaming slasher
Mhm.
is a thing that is happening now. You could make the case that X is a part of this, but I think more specifically, Happy Death Day, Totally Killer, the Fear Street movies on Netflix, where these are kind of like slightly watered down slashers for 13-year-olds that streaming services are capitalizing
Right.
with. So this is like a big evolution, and I haven't even really talked about Grindhouse movies too much.
Yeah, I know. I really should have thought more about this before coming in. I know you texted very kindly that you liked my energy on the Blank Check Elephant Man episode.
I did.
Where I was sick. Whereas now you're catching me at the end of like the busiest week I've had since Ashford was born. So it's a similar energy level of like, I'm coming in like at 60%.
No, you're doing fine. Don't apologize for
And
yourself.
obviously the spectacle of this has thrown me off. For anyone who doesn't know what we're talking about, you should watch the video to see what kind of scenario I randomly walked into thinking.
You're doing great. Like I'm looking at an image of
Yeah.
you right now. Look, you look
I know.
you look
I haven't
trim, you look handsome.
because you and I both skip dinner to eat movie theater
I have candy
snacks.
dinner and you have popcorn dinner. Yeah.
Last week where I had 3 nights of Pavements stuff, I didn't eat dinner 3 nights last week.
It's not good.
Just
I do it
because
all
I didn't
the
have time. I was out, if you have to be somewhere at 7.
Yep.
I'm not going to eat at 1 a.m. I'm not going to eat it. Well, one night I did eat at 4:30 just because I was like, it's now or never.
Yeah. I'm fond of saying I haven't eaten a proper lunch since 1989.
Yeah.
But that's
Well,
that's how I roll.
You're like King Charles in that respect. You're going to have to wait until you're 80 and your doctor tells you to eat lunch.
I know. I'd rather be the Earl of Sandwich if I had a choice, but that's just not how it's going right now. A couple of other wrapping categories.
Yeah.
Grindhouse Classics, Driller Killer, Last House on the Left, Angst, Slumber Party Massacre, aforementioned, Maniac.
Yeah. I kind of again, we don't have time to, I wish we had a whiteboard here because what would be really fun.
Oh, that's a good future idea.
Well, because what are your choices here? Have 5 slots taken up by Halloween, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and Friday the 13th, TBD. Which one? What's more fun, that or being you get 2 slots for you get 2 slots for Mount Rushmore movies.
Mm-hmm.
You need to check off a holiday slot.
Mm-hmm.
You need some, you need.
Why don't we just do it in real time?
I mean, that could be.
This is
be
the
very,
show.
very unhinged way to group this, but I like it because what you want, if you're me or you, is you want a slasher for all seasons. You want one for every mood you're in. Not everyone, if you're talking about a Halloween program, if you're curating a month's worth of horror movies to watch at home, or if you're running a theater, once you get into the 20s of October, then it's all killer, no filler. You don't have any time to mess around. You're not putting Body Double on October 28th. But Body Double could really play on October 1st.
Right.
It could ease you into the month. And if you're like us and you need horror movies year round, there is a spot for what's a good summer horror movie? Halloween would be illegal. It's illegal to watch that movie in the summer. You can't find it. They take it out of circulation.
That's not true, but I like that idea.
It's just why would, if you had the urge to watch Halloween, why would you watch it prior to October 1st when you know October's coming?
Yeah.
If you want to watch,
is that the one you're most likely to reach for in October?
I like to have a Halloween from the franchise in rotation around because basically for us from the 28th onward is this is Halloween now. We've saved them. We've saved the main events of the films we want to watch. This movie seems undeniable.
Off the top of your head, can you do your top 5 from the Halloween franchise?
From the Halloween franchise?
Yeah. Halloween Ends, number 1. Halloween Kills, 2.
Easy top 3. I would maybe put the first one of those at number 5, I guess. I don't know. I mean,
the first one of the new trilogy.
2018 one. Maybe.
I do like the first one.
I mean, I just had such a good time watching it. I just remember being so happy to be in the theater watching that movie and hearing that music.
I think 2 is okay. 3 I was not.
I think 2 is, as you would say,
quite poor.
Quite poor.
Okay.
By the way, where's my Quite Poor merch? I've been trying to get this going.
Well, we're in the Spotify offices.
I know. I need to talk to somebody.
We'll go knock on Daniel X's door. Let me put this on the record.
Yeah. This is what I wanted: a white mug, black letters, says "Quite Poor," and on the back is a little ringer and a big picture logo. That's it. That's the mug. I want one of these.
It's a really good idea.
I think Halloween 2 is quite poor. It doesn't really hold up for me. We rewatched it on Halloween maybe 2 years ago.
You mean Halloween Kills, the second in the David Gordon Green? No, you mean the second Halloween movie. Yes, I agree. That movie is also quite poor. Yes. I'm not a fan of that one.
Yeah, I just don't love it.
Yeah.
So it's out of that top 5 for me. And yeah, we just were this movie just doesn't.
Where do you stand on claiming Halloween 3 very high?
I think that it's an easy number 2.
Yeah.
If I'm being on. I mean, it just has to be.
This is where Chris and I landed when we did this.
It just has to be.
It's the second best movie of the whole franchise.
I came in here today. My backpack's been taken from me now. But I did come in here today with, it's over there, a silver shamrock hat.
Did you?
Yeah.
Well, it's not too late.
I know.
You want to put it on for the video camera.
It's part of, now that Bobby doesn't have a producer's console, he has to just get up and get me things.
The concierge.
Yeah, well, I guess on camera, I mean.
Oh, hell yeah. Look at this.
Nice
and it's corduroy.
Well, because, it's the analog CRT TV.
Oh,
so it's the
where did you get this?
Bought it on some Instagram store. I forget which one. It was,
I might have to get that.
It was either I'm just going to name the ones I buy stuff from often. It was either Graveyard Goods, creepy, or what's it called? Gutter Garbs.
Okay.
Could have been Tapes from the Crypt that this one came from. Silver Shamrock logo on the back. And this was a pre-order and it came one year, November 3rd. And I started wearing it. And my wife was like, What are you doing walking around wearing a jack-o'-lantern hat? It's November. I was like, just came in the mail. I have to wear it. What are you talking about? And, a nice little silver shamrock part in the front. But I do love this hat. I do love Halloween 3.
Halloween 3 is wonderful.
But I kind of like the idea of like diversifying a Hall of Fame
Mm-hmm.
of like, you do need, like we would need one Scream, Kevin Williamson, Urban Legends, like 90s meta horror thing. You would need something, because otherwise it would just be like, well, 10 best movies from the 80s.
Do you think of Final Destination as a slasher?
Probably not.
Yeah, I don't think so. So I just had an et cetera, which includes When a Stranger Calls,
Pure supernatural.
Happy Birthday to Me, Fade to Black.
Happy Birthday to Me is incredible.
I love that movie.
That played at Camp Blood, so I would count that based on the Mahoning's inclusion of it at a Camp Blood one
I
year.
think so too. And I Know What You Did Last Summer I added, which also I think stands in for urban legend and that kind of like late 90s, early 2000s crop of post slashers,
Yeah.
but not post
Well, they were
slashers.
just back.
Yeah.
Do you know the one of the taglines for Happy Birthday to Me?
No.
I think I could be misquoting a little bit, but I think it's, you'll never look at shish kebab the same way again.
Well, it's the incredible box art,
Yeah.
which is the the knife going into the guy's mouth, the shish kebab knife.
Yeah, a really great movie. But I like the idea of, making a Hall of Fame more fun than like, well, 6 of these movies are like 74 to 85, and then the rest of them is just personal favorites. It's kind of fun to imagine trying to be like,
Okay, so let's create. So let's say, for the sake of conversation, we'll do 3 hallowed classics.
Yeah.
3 of, or
Okay.
should it be 4 of the Mount Rushmore?
let's try 3 and
Okay,
see.
we'll do 3. So
Do we get to use reds and yellows for? I mean, is that Hall of Fame or is that?
that's Hall of Fame.
Okay, then let's
yeah.
use some of those and we'll
Okay.
see.
Okay. So do you want to go through and say red, yellow, blue, green?
Yeah,
Okay,
That's
Psycho. See, we're already
kind of
confronted
want a
by
yellow Psycho. For
Okay,
now.
well, yellow it. Wow, you've chosen a yellow.
I mean, it
Alfred
just feels
Hitchcock. You looked
undeniable.
him in the eye.
It feels undeniable, but also like,
You want to have some fun here.
I just feel like if a place was like, we're doing 10 slashers and that was it, I'd be like, that's exciting, but like, because another horror marathon, the Colonial Theater in Phoenixville, Pennsylvania,
Mhm.
does a 24-hour horror marathon every October, which I've been to a few times, never for 24 hours.
Mhm.
And the first slot is always like a stone cold classic. And the first slot of the ones I've been to has been The Exorcist, Psycho, Peeping Tom. And it just starts things off with like a 10 out of 10. And Psycho did truly rock the house the year that they played it. And it really set the tone nicely. So it's kind of undeniable, but I feel like,
That's the problem with yellowing Psycho. It's like when you go back and you watch Psycho again, even in your wizened old 40s age, you're like, still hits, still
I know,
works.
but we could also have fun and go crazy and like put in like Psycho 2 or 3 instead.
I'm not sure if you'll be able to get me there. I did go to the Horrorthon at the Arrow last year in Santa Monica, and the 4th or 5th film that they played was Psycho 3,
Which is great. I watched that last year.
and it played really well,
Mhm.
really well.
It's a great movie.
Psycho 3 is the one directed by Perkins?
That's right,
It
yeah.
is, yeah. Okay. So
It could be just kind of fun to be like, we're including Psycho via that, but we're also acknowledging that like 3 is a nasty 80s slasher.
it truly
and
is.
2 is like, I think identifiably the first Lega sequel to a movie where it's like, decades have passed. We're bringing back as much of the original cast as we can. We're just making a follow-up 22 years later. I think like
Yeah.
it's kind of
Yeah.
undeniable that movie created a template that Hollywood is still eating from.
Persists to this very moment.
So
okay.
maybe we
So
can yellow all 3 of those for now. and
yellow
see where we-
Psycho, yellow Peeping Tom, and yellow Blood and Black
I
Lace.
meant yellow all 3 Psychos for now.
Oh, okay. Okay. What about Peeping Tom?
I loved rewatching it a couple
Mhm.
years ago. Kind of hard to imagine putting it in like the slasher Hall of Fame.
Okay.
But
So you're
maybe-
reading Michael Powell.
Make it yellow. I won't keep yellowing. I just always wanted to do yellows. It sounds so fun to make things yellow on the big picture.
Yeah, they
Mm,
never do it though. They always just make too many things greens, and then we have to backtrack at the end.
Well,
Yeah.
we're gonna do the same thing here. Blood and Black Lace.
Not like a favorite of mine.
Okay.
If I was going for like an Italian thing, there are others I would.
You more of a Lamberto versus a Mario Bava?
I am, yeah.
Yeah. Not
I don't
surprising.
think I even have like a favorite Mario Bava film other than
Black Sunday?
but I would say other than that. I'm
Yeah,
trying to
Black
think of
Sunday. I
which
feel
one.
like, but that's not really a slasher.
No, but that's probably my favorite. Of his
Yeah,
movies.
that's my favorite too. Okay. So Blood and Black Light's just red, which is appropriate. The reds are going to be appropriate for this episode. Texas Chainsaw Massacre, a film we talked about on this show. We did a whole episode.
I know.
You're an auto green for Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Okay.
Right? I mean, that was the one that all three, you, me, and Chris, tried to get first when we did the horror draft.
That is true.
Last time you were here for the New York Film Festival.
Chainsaw, I was sent the chainsaw. Yeah. Did I show you the photo of the chainsaw? No, I haven't. It's waiting for me at home.
I sent you the box set photo first, and you wrote back, I don't know if I can get this. And then a week later, you were like, I'm getting it.
Well, yeah, the fine folks at the company that's distributing it sent it to me. I will make a YouTube video of me unboxing the chainsaw. Yeah, which is. Have you heard about this, Bob? Do you know what I'm talking about?
Amanda's on leave, and Sean's going to do unboxing videos of Blu-ray box sets shaped like chainsaws.
You told me about that. I hadn't heard about the chainsaw specifically.
For the 50th anniversary of Texas Chainsaw Massacre, they have reissued it on 4K, and the company Dark Sky that is distributing it sent me the entire edition, which Alex did. The minute he saw it, he was like, "This has got you written all over it."
It's the most insane-looking piece of physical media that I think has come out for years.
It's the box.
See if we can find
featuring the 4K, and it is a chainsaw. It is. I don't think it's an operational chainsaw, but we're gonna find out. Hopefully, my daughter doesn't find it at home.
Wow, this is some special
stuff. We're gonna have to give that to Jack to show on screen. Yeah, I will be unboxing it on this YouTube channel.
Cut to a photo of it.
You kind of unboxed on this episode already when Alex gave you that bag of gifts.
That's right.
I know.
That's the.
Maybe someone can just bring me a present for every episode. That would be nice.
Is that in the budget?
If I keep having friends on who buy gifts for me, who travel to Venice.
Yes. I mean, green. You can just make it green.
Green for Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I'm with you. I agree. It has to go in. Black Christmas. You said proto, but in many ways, I think this is the true proper template for what most slashers look like.
It is, definitely. There's no killer in it. I mean, we
don't see the killer.
Yeah. It's unresolved it
is unresolved.
As a narrative.
Yeah.
But
in fact, it doesn't invent the POV shot, but it takes what Peeping Tom does and then magnifies it with the sorority setting.
You can't have two Christmas movies on here.
Oh, I guess that's right. Black Christmas could also be the holiday stand-in, even though it comes earlier.
Silent Night, Deadly Night. Or is that what you suggested? Or did you
I did. We don't have to go with that. We can keep going through it. Let's yellow Black Christmas.
I mean, Black Christmas is a better movie than Silent Night, Deadly Night.
It is. But it is less fun.
It's definitely less fun. Oh, it's a probing psychological film.
Yeah. Argento. Are there any Argento movies?
That for me is like, this is the Argento slasher.
Yeah.
I just prefer the supernatural ones.
Okay.
I don't know. I mean, if you needed Deep Red,
if I was doing this, I would put Deep Red in.
I think Deep Red could be. I feel like that's a nice acknowledgement of the Italian Euro.
Let's just yellow Deep Red for now.
But it's probably going to.
You think it's going to get cut?
Well, this can't just be all American.
Good point.
And
you've just shushed the two Italians thus far.
I know, but this is where we could maybe fix that.
Okay.
And it's not going to be New York Ripper.
No. No Fulci on this list.
No, I mean, he kind of did his best work in other genres, but
it
can't be all American. If
in 2 years we do best movies about the gates to hell,
yes,
Lucio Fulci will have 2 or 3 movies.
Yeah. Maybe that can be your election special. in 4 weeks.
Fortunately, we've already recorded that.
But you can't really have just, because there are great slashers from other countries, but like not really like Asian horror. Like that's just culturally not they're not like a slasher people.
There's not a lot of them. No, it's much more supernatural. Yeah.
And then there's like
there's definitely some Euro horror that is taking the slasher influence, but mostly Italian.
Right. A little French.
And some French.
And then pieces of Spanish.
Good point. I guess I don't think of it as Spanish, but it is. Okay, so Halloween, I think, is green.
Yeah.
I think the
more boring choices, but
these clearly we have to honor this franchise with Chainsaw and Halloween.
Yeah.
Going immediately putting those two in is kind of a no-brainer. Do you want to just read the De Palma movies and say we'll just set those aside and acknowledging their greatness?
I think so.
Okay.
I think if you went to a 10-movie horror marathon at the Arrow and after Texas Chainsaw and Halloween, they put on Body Double, you'd be like, this is not the vibe I'm in right now. I want to see a print of Body Double and I want to watch it here.
I would never turn it down.
But kind of not what I came here for tonight.
Okay. I did buy the 4K. I was very happy to buy the 4K.
That's good.
Yeah.
Have you watched it?
No, it hasn't come yet.
Okay.
Hopefully when I get home.
Unboxing.
It'll be there.
Yeah.
Do you think Eileen will watch Chainsaw and Body Double with me on the first night when I return home?
Probably already watching them if they arrived while you're on your work trip.
Honey, I've missed you, but I need to watch the Chainsaw 4K. Walt's holding the chainsaw. Okay, Friday the 13th. Now, if you could choose one, which one would you choose?
I would choose 2 or 3.
Yeah, 2 is my favorite.
Yeah. And I've had such great screening experiences with 3.
Remind me of 3. I forget.
It's the one in 3D with the disco.
Oh, right, of
thing,
course. Oh, that one, I don't really like that one.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome if you like hear that music blasting from like the speakers at the drive-in.
Okay.
2 is kind of undeniable. We rewatched that like a Halloween or 2 season ago. And Yana was just like, this is just the perfect slasher.
It is. It's really great.
Other ones, I feel like you kind of have to make the sentimental favorite argument. Obviously, Jason Goes to Hell, we both agree on.
We do not. It's bad.
Much like you, Jason Has Taken Manhattan. I just don't know what your problem is with these later movies. I really think they're good.
I really think they stink, and I'm a little bit bewildered by the cult of them, but that's okay.
I mean, I said this when we were doing the draft. Like, they're so solid. The quality drop off from those movies from 1 to 10 is so slight.
I'll tell you what it is. I find that the kills are really mediocre in the Friday the 13th movies. And part of it is it's a Jason problem. You know, Jason, he's got one gear.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. There's no variance, you know? And so I just find myself kind of bored.
Yeah. Okay. Well,
nothing personal. And I like 1 a lot. I love 2.
Yeah.
I like 4. 5 is where it starts to lose me.
See, again, we said that we're just going over what we did 2 years ago.
Yeah.
I think 4, 5, and 6 is just like the best middle trilogy of any horror franchise.
Okay. So,
but you know,
if you would choose one, you would choose 2.
I guess so. I mean, if someone was like, you're programming this marathon, I would pick 3. I'd be like, we should watch that in the theater.
Okay. See, this is a different idea. Like the programming the horror movie marathon would be a different episode.
I know, but that's where my brain is at here on like October 7th or whatever.
It's a good thought. It's maybe a better framework
Where
for
it's
this
like,
conversation than a Hall of Fame.
Okay, you need to program your series because, like, you know, you just did like your George Clooney Hall of Fame. Like, no one would go to a 10-movie George Clooney marathon. It's like, all right, guys.
George Clooney has been taking some bullets on this pod recently.
Whatever the Hall of Fame, it was the both of them.
See Wolves?
I haven't caught up with Wolves yet, although I will say I really loved your rant about it.
Thank you very much.
Because we just came to Kim's, as we've said. Basically, we do Kim's on Fridays. So every Friday, new episode of The Big Picture. I fire it up and I take the 30-minute journey from my house to Kim's, always with a new Big Picture episode. And the last time we did it, it was just, the entire thing was just you being like, this movie's terrible. I'm so upset right now. These are our greatest guys. What are they doing? What a waste of everyone's time. And I was like, yeah, great. This is what I want from this movie.
So,
a total
I don't mind saying this.
night on the couch.
I don't mind saying this out loud. The Wolves episode may be like one of the worst performing episodes in like the last 3 years on the pod, which to me is like a direct indictment of the problem with the movie.
Is that separate from the Hall of Fame you did for them?
We did a draft of Clooney and Pitt movies. Yeah. And but that movie, which like no one saw because everyone who did see it was just like, what a waste of time, is in microcosm. Like way more people are going to listen to the episode about like The Substance,
right?
Which is an incredibly intense, alienating body horror movie. Yeah. Released by Mubi, starring Demi Moore, who hasn't been in a movie in theaters in 20 years.
Yeah.
So
that speaks to like what your audience is and what people care about in movies right now.
It doesn't. Like people will listen to the Pitt and Clooney draft. They will happily enjoy that episode.
But like more people watch a show on CBS you've never heard of than any episode of Succession.
That is true.
So
but
like,
the Succession podcast will do incredibly well. So you're right.
That's the same thing.
Yeah. Yes. I know it's a fair point.
I don't even know if this is still on, but no one would listen to like your Blue Bloods recap if you did it on the Ringer.
Bill's dad would. Yeah. Bill Simmons' dad. Bob. Yeah.
My parents would.
Propaganda.
Like,
no, they're in there.
You know, as a devout lover of Law and Order SVU, like the consumption of things like that is different. And I think Wolves and that kind of movie is just aiming for like, yeah, no one who's watching this wants to then listen to people talk about it. They watch it so they can forget about their lives for 2 hours.
Wolf's and like better or worse with Donnie Wahlberg in the Clooney role?
I think they're given the same level of effort, you know? So I'm not sure what the answer to that is.
Yeah, but you know what I mean? Like
I do.
It's a clear thing, but I haven't seen it. You know, you're a parent, some Saturday night, you're just like, I am wiped out.
Mm-hmm.
I'm so tired. It's been one of those weekend days. Wolves is going to hit hard one of those Saturday nights.
I'm looking for those parents in our podcast audience. Yeah. I'm not finding them somehow.
It's just like, God, I'm so tired. I could barely get through the day. I can't believe she's asleep. Let's eat some ice cream and watch Wolves. That's what it's made for.
It's nice that we've been able to have this parental experience simultaneously too, because we're going through the exact same shit. Yeah,
The Little Picture coming soon with all these little kids.
Some might say it already exists on this pod. Friday the 13th Part 2. We're gonna yellow.
I feel
you think it's in?
I think it. So yeah.
Okay, we'll put it. Let's
Unless
put it.
You would entertain a different one later.
I think you need Jason. Do you need Freddy?
I don't think so. I don't love any. Also, like,
You don't love any
I don't
Nightmare
love
on Elm
any of
Street
them
movie?
enough to be like, we need one from all 4 of those franchises.
Oh, see, I appreciate these movies more. Now, they are much more supernatural than
They
your
are, yeah.
standard issue. But is it supernatural or
They
is it
follow
just
the
dream logic?
story beats of a slasher.
They do. They do.
I mean, I do love 3 of those movies.
Dream Warriors.
Yeah. I love 2, 3, and 4, basically.
Yeah, 2, 3, and 4.
I
The
just don't
first
know.
film was good.
That's very good.
Yeah.
It's like the first Friday the 13th.
Yeah.
I just don't know if 4 of these slots need to be taken up with these 4 franchises.
I think
Just
that'd be a
'cause there's so much more
controversial
to
pick.
do.
So you're more of a Jason guy than a Freddy guy.
Absolutely.
I
I have no Freddy shirts. I have enough Jason shirts. I couldn't tell you. 4.
What do you think about New Nightmare?
It's it's this is I'm flipping the order on these, but like it's the Amnesiac to Scream's Kid A. Like he had this very clear idea of
But
something.
didn't New Nightmare come first?
Yeah, that's why I'm
Okay.
flipping the order.
Okay.
Like
okay.
he had a very clear idea. He did the thing. It's like wasn't quite right, and then like immediately figured it out and did it and like changed culture.
Interesting.
Like it's just like he
That's
was
a
like,
good read. Okay.
what are these movies? What have we been doing for 20 years? What violence have we brought into the world?
okay.
How do people talk about horror movies? And then like because it was the 7th Nightmare on Elm Street movie, it just couldn't work. And then he just found the exact formula to be like, let's hold the mirror up.
So let's say for the sake of the Hall of Fame right now, we've got 3 greens.
Mhm.
We're going to red Nightmare on Elm Street, which is a bold choice.
But I would find another way to include Wes Craven if
well, I think we will find one.
yeah.
We got to talk about the 80s essentials.
Mhm.
So you wanted to come up with some rubrics as holders in this Hall of Fame. So like a holiday
Yeah.
slasher.
Yeah. And I feel like if that's what we do, for better or worse, we've already checked off camp. Not
We have.
camp class,
You
Summer
sure you don't want to
camp.
find another rubric for Sleepaway Camp?
Well, there could be another. There could be 2 sleepaway camp. There could be 2 camp-based movies.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like camp is 20% of the slasher genre, so that gets
It
into-
is. But Sleepaway Camp could be the concealed killer,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. I'm more looking at like, again, like picture you're making needlessly specific video store sections of like holiday slashers.
Mhm.
This isn't like, I don't know if you're doing one that's called concealed killers.
No. Sorority slashers you would do.
Yeah, you could definitely do high school, college
Mhm.
slashers.
Mhm.
Maybe less high school, but I think we need something from academia, and it's probably House on Sorority Row, which I really love.
Okay.
Like a really incredible. At least that would be my vote. A
Okay.
really incredible movie.
Over Slumber Party Massacre.
I think so.
Okay.
I like Slumber Party Massacre
and over
a
Black
lot.
Christmas.
I would say of those 3, House on Sorority Row would be pretty high up there for
Okay.
me.
So let's add House on Sorority Row to 80s Essentials. We'll green it. I would like to green Silent Night, Deadly Night.
Yeah.
I think that's my Christmas / holiday pick. If we want to have another holiday pick, we should talk about that. Obviously, Black Christmas and Silent Night, Deadly Night and My Bloody Valentine kicked off
Mhm.
a noisy wave of these movies. I don't know. My Bloody Valentine, I don't know if we need that if we're going with Silent Night, Deadly Night.
Yeah, those are kind of different to me because obviously, like the Christmas thing is its own little silo, and
Mhm.
New Year's Evil, like the kind of December horror movies.
I
that
do
you
like
might-
New Year's Evil too.
You might see popping up.
New Year's
at a-
Evil, one
at
of
a rec theater.
the great punk rock movies ever made.
Those movies are all fun.
Mm-hmm.
The rare horror thing my wife just doesn't want to watch.
The holiday
There's
stuff?
no day in December she wants to watch a horror movie, and I don't blame her.
Interesting.
It's not necessarily, it's a specific thing.
I was thinking about that because Heretic this year is coming out in November,
Okay.
and obviously Nosferatu is coming out on Christmas.
Mhm.
There is some history of those kinds of movies playing well in those periods. I mean, Scream didn't come out in October, right?
Yeah, it came
It
out
was
in
a summer
January,
movie.
right?
Yeah, I think it was a summer movie,
I
right?
think it was-
Or was it January?
I
Maybe
think
it was
might
January.
even come out in December.
Okay, maybe it was December.
I think that's why it's confusing. I always forget the year. I think it came out like back when release calendars were much less rigid than they are now.
Yeah,
I really
yeah.
think Scream.
Oh, maybe you're right.
I
Was it
think
December?
Scream and Scream 2 came out December 96 and 97.
December 20th, 96.
There you go.
See, that's
This
crazy.
First
Like,
Scream?
That's the
That's the first
Nosferatu
Scream.
strategy.
like, yes. And I'm sure they will have similar success. $100 million, 7 sequels.
You never know. Nosferatu 6.
Mhm.
Ferratu's
I mean,
back.
this is Nosferatu 6. Like, or as I said when the trailer played, a gritty reimagining of Van Helsing, a gritty reboot of Van Helsing. But yeah, like that's just crazy. Like for us now, you'd be like Scream, a high school movie, everyone's in school, like, when does that come out? And you'd be like, I don't know, September 20th? Or like some other, and it's like, nope, Christmas.
I remember The Faculty was a summer movie. I think it might have been on the cover of that Entertainment Weekly summer movie preview.
I guess I would say August.
I think it was August. When is The
August
Faculty,
98
Bob?
or 99? That's August 99, right?
I don't know. I'm getting conflicting reports.
Right.
It's saying both November and December.
Okay, so
for The Faculty.
So you're closer. So they probably played
98.
98.
98. Because this song on the soundtrack, the cover of Just Another Brick in the Wall, like the super group was called The Class of 99.
That's right.
That's why I'm thinking it's a 99 movie.
And that was one of your favorite songs that year.
Still
you played it
is,
on
yeah.
a loop.
Play it for Asher all the time. Like,
Is The Faculty soundtrack on Spotify? I don't know.
let's go outside and ask somebody. Open the door.
Okay, House on
Someone-
Sorority
someone
Row
out
is
there
in.
trying to eat their lunch. Excuse me. Faculty soundtrack.
I need you to
available.
upload The Faculty soundtrack now, sir. Silent Night, Deadly Night, and House and Sorority Row are going in. That means 5.
I think these are cool choices.
I think it's good to have a little bit of an esoteric character.
I'm not
for the
going to
list.
say that I could swear for the rest of my life that House on Sorority Row is like my favorite, like non-A-level slasher,
Mhm.
but I think it's really, really good.
And you think it's
You know
super.
that movie has like a completely unknown like Lego sequel or reboot from a few years ago?
No.
You know, like how they just remake movies
Mhm.
because they have a famous title?
Yes.
There is one of those, I think.
Okay.
And like it just doesn't...
I mean, that does happen. There have now been 3 Black Christmases, all of which are, and they're all sort of the same
Right.
general
Isn't
idea.
there like a 2000s one and then like a recent one?
Yeah, there's like an 06 one, and then there was a Sophia Tockel one, right? Like
Right.
in 2018.
But the other one maybe, 2014. Oh no, wait, that's something else. I just remember looking up the House on Sorority Row when we watched it and seeing that there had been whatever. This is irrelevant.
Okay, we have our.
It's called Sorority Row, 2009. Yeah, and it's just
Who's
like
in it?
Brianna Evigan, Rumor Willis, Carrie Fisher.
Rumor Willis and Carrie Fisher. Wow,
Yeah.
interesting. I don't think I've seen that one.
Yeah. I don't know. I had never heard of this until I watched the other one and was doing a little bit of clicking.
I really like the idea of you putting in House on Sorority Row and not Psycho.
Well, that would be insane, but maybe we will put Psycho in.
Okay, maybe we will. Prom night? No.
I just feel like there needs to be something like that,
Mm-hmm.
be it prom night. Like the question is like, gun to your head, prom night, April Fool's Day, graduation day, My Bloody Valentine. Like these are all secondary holidays. Where do you go?
Are we sure that just having Halloween and Silent Night, Deadly Night doesn't get this across for us?
It probably does.
You know, these are films that take place on where the crimes are taking place primarily on the day.
Movies that you'll see people be like, well, it's this day this year, time to rewatch.
Right. Every Christmas morning, I fire up Silent Night,
Yep.
Deadly Night for my young child. Silent Night, first 20 minutes of Silent Night, Deadly Night, up there for the most depraved.
It's really a violent movie. I mean, that's one that was protested.
It was.
Back when we had a proper country and people could get worked up about a horror movie.
I heard you're relaunching the PRMC, though. That's a really a passion of yours.
Yeah, I think the time is right.
Mm-hmm. Is
And-
Tipper still around?
I don't want to say yes or no because what if she's dead and we make a joke about her? I don't
We're
know.
gonna make a joke
she's,
about her.
She's alive. We would know if
She's-
Tipper
okay.
Gore had died.
Okay.
Um,
There should be like an app.
yeah,
Like, is Tipper still here?
yeah. Oh, like the Liza Minnelli, like has Liza Minnelli
We can call it Still
outlived this
Tippin'.
thing?
Yeah.
She
Yeah.
is still here and she is 76 years old.
All right, so
Great.
she's got
That's
some
nice.
juice in her. The problem is there's no offensive culture anymore.
Juice in her.
Well, she's not. It's not like Bobby just said she's 99. It's like, well, maybe by the time this comes out,
If she was a filmmaker, she's got like 4 films left.
yeah.
That's right. If she's on the Ridley Scott plan, she's still going.
Yeah. I don't
Um,
really hear about Al Gore ever anymore.
we don't.
What does he do?
We don't. He's just still trying to unlock that lockbox.
Right.
You know, trying to figure out what was inside.
I just feel like with so much climate change talk, he would really become rowing back, like doing a kind of "I told you so."
I think it's understood.
Yeah, but
He was
where
on
is
the right side of that one. You know,
Where is he?
you want him just to keep telling us he was right about climate change.
I just feel like now he could come back and have a more sympathetic ear.
I mean, I think he got a raw deal,
Yeah.
and his sort of anti-charisma worked against him.
Yeah.
But it is what it is.
Um.
I'm glad we got into the Al Gore's political career
Yeah.
here on this episode.
What is
He does tweet videos of himself talking about climate change.
He just
So
feels
you're
like
just missing
someone feels like someone that could have a podcast now.
Al,
He probably
Yeah.
does.
he probably does.
All right, well, I'll open the door again and ask
Yeah,
him.
he's in the studio next door. Okay, no to prom night. No to My Bloody Valentine.
I mean, these are both movies I love and would be thrilled to watch again, but you can yellow those for now. I want to pile up with a bunch of yellows and then fight for scraps with like
I'm
3
with
slots
you.
remaining.
I'm with you. Child's Play?
I don't love Child's Play. I'm very fond of the Child's Play franchise as a object of like horror franchise oddity.
Mm-hmm.
I would not be psyched. I guess I would be now just because like I haven't seen them in forever. But if I were at like a blindfolded marathon and Child's Play popped up, I guess I'd be pretty excited. I should
watched
take that back,
it. I watched the original on a plane within the last 12 months and had an amazing time with it.
It's funny. I was just on a plane with somebody and he was like, "Hey, Child's Play's on the plane."
It must be just like on American or something. I don't know.
Yeah. I would like to rewatch it. It just never really excited me that much.
It is supernatural.
Yeah, and it's just kind of goofy.
It's like transferring the soul of a killer into a doll.
I love that though. I mean, that's very like Twilight Zone, Dead Man's Shoes. I love that as a premise. I guess just because like for our age, like I probably like Bride of Chucky came in so close to the time that I was aware of this. Like the franchise was already eating its own tail.
It was.
So I could never really take the earlier movies that seriously.
It's now gone on so long. That's a franchise that's had a much longer life than I ever would have expected. And part of it is too, is like that there's like all these queer readings of that movie. And so it has taken on this whole new...
Of Child's Play 1?
Of the franchise in general, of the character and the way that like some of those later movies are played. I don't know.
Yeah. Chucky's a funny guy.
He is a funny guy.
There's the Aubrey... is it Aubrey and... God, what's the guy's name? The great actor that was in the Eternals that was in Beale Street.
Brian Tyree Henry.
Is it the two of them in the Child's Play reboot?
Oh, Aubrey
from like
Plaza
5 years ago?
and Brian Tyree Henry. Yeah, I think you're right.
Chucky's like an app or something. He's like...
Yeah, they had that reboot and then it was launched as a series. It's been a series that was just canceled and had like 3 full seasons on like USA.
Right.
Anyway, Sleepaway Camp?
I love Sleepaway Camp. I feel like it's probably one of the most important slashers, certainly now. Its legacy has become really huge. And
it's I would argue a top 5 ending to any slasher.
Yeah, it's pretty great. The sequels are quite good too.
I haven't seen a lot of the sequels.
There's only 2 that I can think of.
Okay.
Unhappy Campers and I forget what the third one's called.
I don't know let's yellow Sleepaway Camp.
The third one is like, this movie should have been like, how did they let people make this? It seems like it should have been illegal.
Because it's so depraved?
Yeah.
I don't think I've seen it.
Oh, it's very good. I'd say you got two good nights ahead of you if you want. I'm sure there's a Sleepaway Camp box set for you
to acquire on the internet.
The story you told on some recent episode where you're like, I was at the video store with my daughter, and then there, calling out to me from the glass display case was a pristine out-of-print Blu-ray of Brian Usna's Society. Just like, just picturing this day for you is so funny. It's like, well, time to crack open have the guy unlock the case and give me Society.
That is what happened.
Yeah.
It was a nice woman. And she asked my daughter with interest what she was going to be for Halloween while I acquired the Arrow Blu-ray of Society.
Yeah.
Which I still haven't watched, but I'm going to return to post-Substance.
Similar, like on the Substance episode, you like just straight up like mansplaining like to Amanda. You're like, you see Amanda, Frank Henenlotter opened the basket and some of the practical effects and just like...
What do you mean? I'm doing the work.
Yeah.
Mansplaining. What about explaining?
Another word for it.
Have you considered it?
Very few women in my life have explained the work of Brian using it to me. It's not something a lot of ladies have sat me down to be like, let me tell you, did you know that this guy originally wrote Honey, I Shrunk the Kids?
Yep. Well, it's understandable.
Yeah.
From a similar mind.
Right.
The Hitcher?
I don't know if The Hitcher's top 10.
Agree.
I haven't seen it in 20 years. Maybe if I watched it tomorrow, I would love it.
Also recently reissued in 4K.
I did see that, yeah.
Pieces?
I personally love Pieces.
Can you do Chainsaw and Pieces?
Do you want a Spanish? Do we want to diversify our globe?
We'll yellow it.
Okay. There won't be another Spanish
in your
film.
honor.
Let's call it the greatest Spanish slasher.
It is one of the most satisfying. You walked into the movie, the like revival, the restoration or whatever, like seeing it projected. Mm-hmm. It plays raucously historically.
Yes.
I don't know if it's among the top 10.
Yeah, but I do love it, and I had a great time watching it at Camp Blood at the drive-in a few years ago.
Okay, The Prowler and The Burning, I would say.
I would almost make a case for The Burning just because.
As what?
As green.
But what in what space does it occupy?
It's just another camp movie.
Yeah. I mean, I agree that the camp movie is important, but
I know.
how many can we really put in? We were going to put in Sleepaway
I was
Camp
saying,
and
I was
Friday the
saying
13th
2
Part
is too many.
Yeah.
I mean, The Burning is just kind of.
It's just, we're recommending it here. We're
I
saying
just
on the show, watch The
love it
Burning.
so much.
I think The Burning is on Tubi right now.
Feels like it's playing on a loop.
Yeah.
On some, I mean,
Yeah.
incredible cast. And I believe, I don't know, but I think just entirely a sterling creative team on that one as well.
It's a good film.
Nobody involved with that whose work we shouldn't be celebrating.
Most of the movies we've mentioned are on some combination of Shudder, Tubi,
Yeah.
Pluto, and Amazon Prime.
They make the classics available,
They
which
do.
is good.
They do.
I want to be clear that I believe The Burning is written by Harvey Weinstein, but
Is that a fact?
that's what I was saying. Yeah, him and I believe him. It's his only screenplay credit is him and Bob Weinstein.
Well, then you should support that film.
Because I was making
immediately,
a joke about that, and then you seem like
I steamrolled you.
Well, you seem like you agreed with it, and I wanted to just voice that we don't actually. It's just I mean, last time I saw a print of The Burning, people booed.
Really?
Oh, sure.
Just seeing the credit.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, understandable, right?
Sure. And we're all there to have a good
I
time.
wasn't advocating for the written works of Harvey Weinstein. On
No,
the
I
pod.
think this is the only one.
Okay.
It's unfortunate that it's so good.
Yeah. Well.
Or at least story by.
Yeah. Okay. I'll buy it.
Great film though.
Okay. Rebirth. Candyman.
I would have a hard time making that the sole Clive Barker. Not that there's other Clive Barker slashers that I think need to be in there, but also that's entirely supernatural.
It is, but it has a kind of kill tool that
Right.
feels very slasher.
It does. Another good thing about In a Violent Nature. It's the design of this guy and the old-timey fire mask. And it's just the logging stuff.
It's excellent.
Instantly iconic.
Yeah. Then the cliff's edge kill is
Yeah.
extraordinary.
As is the log splitter.
It is.
It's a great movie. I love congrats to that guy. I loved his answer. You're like, why is this movie in 4:3? And he's like, because VHSs are in 4:3.
It was a good answer.
It's a great answer.
What do you think about the question that I asked him when I was like, I don't understand for myself personally why I enjoy this depraved material so much, but I do love to go to the movies and see something like this. Why do you like to make things like this? And he was like, let's not spend too much time thinking about
and
that,
yet
please.
here we are. You're like, I'm going to do 4 more episodes thinking about this.
I mean, yeah, sure.
It's just fun.
Yeah, it's just fun.
It's just power. It's just power. It's the same reason I explain people like, why do you go to so many like metal shows?
Mm-hmm.
It's like, I just like the most powerful version of what I like.
Well, that's well put.
It's just like the loudest, most like in your face,
Mm-hmm.
like the most energy, the most like get your stress out.
Is there a hole that you're trying to fill, do you think?
Probably.
Yeah. Yeah.
A lack of power. Yeah, the whole is
A lack
my
of
lack
power.
of power. Yeah.
Well, that is revealing.
Yeah, I have no power, so I have to go find it elsewhere.
We've really done the work here today. Scream?
Well, what is like the best of that 90s like slashers are back?
It's Scream.
Is it Scream 1?
I think so. I think Scream 1 is the best film. I think it's the best horror movie of the 90s.
Yeah.
Right?
Criterion did the good 90s horror series last year,
That was
which had
good.
some revelations.
That was
in it.
excellent.
Okay, you know what I can bring up right now?
Yeah.
This is neither here nor there, but where, if not the big picture Halloween horror Hall of Fame, where do you stand on Dee Snider's Strangeland?
Complicated. Dee Snider, a resident of Long Island, one of the signature residents of Long Island.
Hearing a lot of positivity so far. I like where this is going.
I think it's a bold vision
Yeah.
in that film, and I don't like it.
This movie fucking rocks. Absolutely rocks the house. It's unbelievable how good this movie is.
It rocks the house, you
Yes,
say.
I kept seeing it I kept seeing VHS copies of it for sale.
Uh-huh.
And then I was like, wait a minute. I thought this movie was the coolest thing in the world when it came out because it was so dark and twisted and extreme.
Not a slasher.
No, but like while we're just on this run of 90s horror.
Mhm.
And I saw it. I liked Twisted Sister. I liked that kind of music at the time. I thought it was the most fucked up thing I'd ever seen. Then recently, I was like, oh no, we need to watch this. And we watched it. This movie is so depraved,
Mhm.
so upsetting in its depiction of the human body and the pain it can endure. It's 81 minutes long. And I just was like, this movie has no cultural footprint. Why can't I buy a shirt of this? Where is my Strangeland shirt? Where is the Strangeland 4K Blu-ray? I asked my friend who's a programmer at the Nighthawk, I said, how come, you ever play Strangeland? And she's like, I don't know this movie. She knows everything. This Christina at Nighthawk, her brain is Tubi. Like Tubi is what the inside of her head looks like. She's like, I don't know it. And then I was like, it never plays. And I asked my buddy who programmed the 90s horror series on Criterion, I said, Clyde, why didn't you put Strangeland on there? I know he struggled to like come up with he goes, I've never heard of this. And I was like, what has happened? Like, this was such a big movie.
I know it it's in the video store and it was available. It was around. I don't remember liking it. Yeah.
Worth
you
a
think I
rewatch.
should revisit? Okay. I'll revisit.
Well, just watching it, Anna was like, this explains why you like Hellraiser so much. Because I hadn't seen Hellraiser when I saw it. It's just like, Hellraiser light.
It was a gateway to Hellraiser.
Zero.
Yeah, that was your gateway.
Diet. Yeah, it's a really good watch, I think.
Well, thanks for that excursion into Dee Snider's career and work.
It's a pretty solid film that I believe is largely forgotten and I think is on Shudder.
There's some synchronicity here too, because Dee Snider, of course, a significant voice in the PRMC battles in the 1980s. He fought for the right to write Twisted Sister songs. To take. Well, no, to not take it.
Right. They didn't want to take it.
We're not going to take it.
They weren't.
We're going to bring it to Strangeland.
Yeah,
That's
Strangeland, I feel like,
keep going.
Check it out.
Okay. Saw?
So is Scream just like the
Scream
definitive movie of the 90s?
I think it has to go in.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it has. And it is a true slasher.
It is, yeah, definitely. And then what comes after that? Urban Legend Final Cut, Valentine.
Mm-hmm.
Valentine's okay.
I mean, in the Hall of Fame?
No, I'm just saying.
I know what you did last summer.
Yeah, that's kind of the other. I think that's kind of the B to Scream's A.
It is. I don't think we should be putting that one in.
The next time it's February, if you need to mix it up for My Bloody Valentine, David Boreanaz's Valentine. Solid. Solid. I watched that like one day after shooting a music video when we got Thai takeout. I was so tired and we just watched Valentine.
It was solid?
It's like a great...
I'm sure I've seen it.
A great 5 out of 10.
Okay.
That's kind of the end of the
slashers,
slashers,
the inverted wolves. That's the thing,
right.
It's like sometimes a 5 out of 10
but I feel like
is great. Sometimes it's terrible.
For that run, Valentine's kind of the end. Like the 5-year cycle of neo slashers has ended.
Yeah.
And we've gotten into Saw now.
Well, so we do have Saw and we do have High Tension and the new French Extreme.
Yeah.
And we do have, the Eli Roth movies,
right.
Hostel and which is a slasher. Any of those go in? Any of the Rob Zombie films? I don't think so.
I don't think so either. And I like most of these movies to one degree or another. I mean, I guess the case could be made for House of a Thousand Corpses, perhaps.
Yeah.
I mean, it'd be even hard to say like that would, like, with no Psycho, no The Burning, like this would be ludicrous. And yet, if I was putting together a 10-film marathon, I really would want something.
You keep circling back to that, but that's not the exercise.
That's kind of how I'm approaching this as I curate my month's viewing.
Okay.
And as we think of a challenge, like, movies like that really do play great at a marathon.
They do.
A 2000s movie that nobody has seen for 15 years.
Yeah. They have to be 87 minutes, though.
Yeah.
Any of the ones that are bloated that are in 110 minutes, I can't.
Happy Birthday to Me as a middle of a triple feature, people were like, this is a great film, but this is kind of a crazy thing to play second.
Yeah, yeah.
No, it's always fun.
But who's it? Doesn't Happy Birthday to Me have a reputable director? Who is it?
J. Lee Thompson?
J. Lee Thompson. Yeah. Well, not so reputable, but
a real
Hollywood director. Yeah. Okay, new old class. Strangers? Is that a slasher?
Kind of a home
Just
invasion.
a home invasion.
I feel like you've
movie.
done Home Invasion.
Well, I don't know if we ever did an episode.
I feel like you did at some point, but maybe
we did.
misremembering.
X?
I mean, I honestly feel like the case could be made if there has to be something. You can't say there have been no Hall of Fame level slashers.
Well, I would argue it's X versus Terrifier is interesting because X is signifiers and history and reflecting on the history, and Terrifier is just an extreme continuation of the movies that Damien Leone was raised on.
Yeah.
So what's more representative?
Well, I've only seen one Terrifier, and Ty's one of my good friends, so I probably can't answer this.
Okay.
In the interest of political fairness, I have to.
Maybe we should leave them both out.
Well, feels unfair to some, because these movies are keeping things alive for people.
They are.
Both culturally and like in the sort of like indie horror, like indie merch, like, this is really carrying the torch in a way that I think is quite valuable, so that not everything is about grief and trauma.
Fully agreed. And neither of these movies are. Although Terrifier 3 is a bit about trauma.
Arts trauma?
No, I wish it was about arts trauma. No, it's about the what Lauren Vera, I think her name is, the lead actress's character's trauma. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know. It feels important to acknowledge that good movie. I mean, even In a Violent Nature is a great, like, this can't be one of those things that's like, Yeah, the entire Slasher Hall of Fame is over by 2003. Like it's a 20-year run.
I agree. That's why
Or
I've got
40
them
if you
here.
do Psycho, but
Why don't we yellow both of them for the
okay.
time being?
I'm excited to have all these yellows, right, Bobby? A lot of yellow.
And then
It's done.
I don't think any of the teen streaming slashers are going to make
No,
the
I don't
cut.
think so.
We can red those. Driller Killer or Last House on the Left. Any of these movies?
I mean, I kind of want like one super gnarly, like video nasty, something that's like a reprehensible banned film.
Angst.
I mean, is that really a slasher? Does he
I
slash
guess more
anything?
of a
He's just
psycho
kind of like
killer.
a-
yeah. I guess that's a fair point.
kind of its own.
Maniac.
I like Maniac.
That could be our.
I like
Was Maniac a video nasty?
I think so.
It was.
Certainly Maniac. It feels like it would have been.
Anything
Never
more
remember
representative than
I
that?
can never remember the exact 39, but it's a pretty diverse list.
Let's pull it up.
Maniac Cop, also good. The Maniac remake with Elijah Wood from like 15 years ago, very good.
It was very good. Okay, video nasty.
You have to look at like the first list because they kept adding to it, but it's the initial 39.
Let's just read the list.
Okay, 39 movies. Here you go, people.
These are the prosecuted films. No, I mean, there's some stuff on here.
Like Driller Killer is one, right? For our movie?
Driller Killer is one. I mean, Cannibal Holocaust and Ferox and
Yeah,
Apocalypse The Burning was on this list.
great.
Bay of Blood is on this list. Blood Feast. We haven't talked about the, Herschel Gordon Lewis influence of
I
all
love,
this
as you
stuff.
know. Well, you're looking at this, it's entirely likely a big picture listener doesn't know what video nasties are. That the British Board of Censors came up with a list of initially 39 horror films that were too violent and morally reprehensible to be distributed. And a lot of these films remained out of circulation in England for many, many years. And then they kept adding to it. But the initial 39 is like kind of just like a greatest hits of awesome movies.
Yeah, I mean, I Spit on Your Grave is on this list. The Last House on the Left is on here. Tenebrae is on here. Night of the Demon.
Right. It's some stuff that you're like, okay, I Spit on Your Grave, fine. But like Tenebrae, like, is that really so bad?
I don't know. I mean, there's like a couple of kills that are intense, but then there's I haven't seen Mardi Gras Massacre, for example. That's on the
Never
list.
seen Mardi Gras Massacre either.
There-
That could
there
be
are
a great
some-
holiday flick.
The Werewolf and the Yeti,
Don't know that one.
which is also known as the Night of the Howling Beast. Some films you never heard of, and then there's the non-prosecuted films,
right.
which
Much longer
is
list.
33 more
Oh,
films.
33 more. So-
And then there's the Video Nasties, which is the third list, which is like 100 films.
yeah.
So I don't maybe in honor of the Video Nasties, we should put The Burning on,
Perhaps.
or is there a better choice?
Isn't
Or is Driller
isn't
Killer?
Texas Chainsaw Massacre a video nasty?
I didn't see it there.
Really? I thought it was.
It's not on the list now.
Hmm.
Maybe the Driller Killer goes on.
I mean, that movie's not very. It's not better than Psycho. I'm sorry to
No,
say.
it's not better than. We're gonna end up putting Psycho.
Yeah,
I'm
it's
sorry
not-
to
it's not
tell
better
you.
than-
Psycho has to go in.
It's not better than
Alex.
Sleepaway Camp either.
It's not. It's not. Well, then would you like to choose something different to represent the Video Nasties?
I
You
mean,
want
I
to
have
put
to
The
look.
Burning in?
Let me look. Can I look at it?
Of course.
While you
Faces of Death. That's on a slasher.
I do like Faces of Death. I mean,
I was looking for Faces of Death when we were in Kim's and I didn't find it.
oh, we have a whole section of those.
Do you?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
The Mondo. We just put them all out. They're all in horror, and some of them are in documentary.
People
Mondo
love to
films.
watch people scrolling laptops.
Oh, right, 'cause I forgot that there's a video here. I've gotten to the point where I forgot it. I mean, yeah, I don't know. Last House on the Left, like, there's choices here. I don't know. Nothing that's like, that's a great slasher. A lot of these are like very zombie and supernatural.
They are.
based.
Like The Beyond is on the non-prosecuted. Funhouse is on the non-prosecuted
How
list.
many do we have so far? And what else have we not talked about from your sort of like bullet points?
My etc. was When a Stranger Calls, Happy Birthday to Me, the holiday slashers, which we've gone through, Fade to Black, and I Know What You Did Last Summer. Now, I'm sure I've missed some that people are going to be angsty about, but what we have in green at the moment is Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Halloween, Friday the 13th Part 2, House on Sorority Row, Silent Night, Deadly Night, and Scream. That gives us 6.
Okay, that's a nice number to start with. I'm just looking back at my years past horror viewing lists that I keep.
My instinct is that we should just put Psycho in and just be cool with that.
Okay. That's
And that
probably
gives
fair.
us 7, and then we can debate the final 3. So, Bob, let's green Psycho. I think it's essential.
Yeah. Kind of be silly at this point not to.
Yes. As we debate the Driller Killer.
Hostel. Yeah, I watched that 2 years ago. It's all well and good.
See, like Possession was on this list at a certain point.
Okay.
It just sort of feels like randomly selected, all these video nasties.
I don't know
like
how many movies they had access to at the time.
Friday the 13th and Friday the 13th 2.
Seems like we only did 41 films last year. Hope we can beat that this year. I'm getting nervous.
In terms of how many we've mentioned?
No, me and my wife.
Oh.
Between September and...
41.
Yeah.
God damn. I'm way behind because of this trip. Okay, help me pick 3 more movies.
Okay. What's yellow?
Here are our yellow films.
And we have nothing beyond Scream.
Nothing. No, nothing after Scream. We have Peeping Tom, Black Christmas, Deep Red, Prom Night, My Bloody Valentine, Sleepaway Camp, Pieces, X, and Terrifier.
I mean, I would put Pieces in there just to say like this is not all just like cheap American movies.
I will give you Pieces.
It's cheap Spanish.
You want
American
Pieces
movies.
over Deep Red?
For my money, yeah.
Okay. I'm gonna give you that.
Okay. Now you can give yourself one, in the interest of a fair volley.
I think I would still take Deep Red like over My Bloody Valentine or Prom Night.
That's probably valid.
Okay.
It makes a more diverse list.
It does.
And you are wearing the button now.
And I'm wearing the button. And I'll have the magnet in eye shot of Alice very soon. Psycho, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Deep Red, Halloween, Friday the 13th Part 2. That gives us some core texts. And then House on Sorority Row, Silent Night, Deadly Night, Pieces. I think we need one more from there, and then we need to make a choice between X and Terrifier.
Yeah.
Can we just say X and Terrifier? Did they come out in the same year?
I don't remember. I don't know when the first Terrifier came out. It's one of those things that like, even I hadn't heard of Terrifier until Terrifier 2 came out.
Was not on Terrifier in 2016 when it was released. It was
was
released in the US. It played Telluride, it says. That can't be right.
You look dubious.
That can't be right. Did Terrifier play Telluride?
A bold choice for them.
The Telluride Horror Show Film Festival.
When are you going to start covering that? You probably have more fun.
I honestly would. That's actually crazy
Really?
that I've not been to this.
When is it? Is it in October?
It's in October. Yeah.
I mean, you clearly love going there.
Have you been there?
No.
You're coming with me next year.
I'll go to this.
Okay, maybe we should just go to this.
Yeah.
And then you'll be able to knock off a lot of horror films on your
Telluride
list.
coverage, you were like, I kept telling the programmers they really need more midnight and cult movies. You know what you won't say to the Telluride Horror Festival programmers? You need more Oscar bait. You will leave the Telluride Horror Festival and be like, guys, you did it just right.
You're right. I got to go. It didn't. So Terrifier didn't open until 2018 in the US.
Okay.
March 15, 2018. I think X was 2019. Or maybe it was 2020. Might have been 2020.
Was it pre-pandemic is the question. And of course, we don't remember these things
X was
anymore.
2022.
They're both post-pandemic.
Yeah.
It's funny how we both were just so wrong about that.
I mean, he's your
But
friend.
You missed that. Yeah, and I
know.
read
I
the
had time
script
on
and
the
I
show.
watched 2 cuts of it, and we both missed that by 4 years.
Yeah. I love that. I love X. I think it's great.
I mean, I would love one of those too.
I'm just going to say we're going to cheat and we're going to put them on together.
Oh, you're putting them together.
To me, they represent kind of the alpha and the omega of where slashers are at right now.
Again, and like honestly, if we're at this imaginary marathon that I'm programming of these films, if you ended with that and people were like, I've been here for 11 hours and either one of those threaded up, people would be like, I'm psyched. I'm going out on a high note. This movie rocks. A modern classic.
100%.
I'm having fun. Great note to end on.
100%. Okay. So then we have one more. We'll let it be dealer's choice.
Okay.
Let it be Alex.
Wait, do we have one more? Because you put in Deep Red.
Okay. So then let me count it up again. Oh, you're counting. Oh, I see.
It's at the top.
Oh, so then we're done.
Okay.
Well, I'll read what we have and you tell me if you're comfortable with
Sure.
it or if you feel we need something else.
All right.
We have Texas Chainsaw Massacre. We have Halloween. We have Friday the 13th Part 2. We have House on Sorority Row. We have Silent Night, Deadly Night, Scream, Psycho, Pieces, Deep Red, and our X and Terrifier cheat.
I mean, this sounds great. I forget what's yellow at this point, but if I'm going to a marathon and this is the lineup, I'm pretty psyched.
This would be a good marathon.
This would be a great lineup.
I like it. Do you want to order it
There's
in any
no like
specific way?
supernatural nonsense and like we're not like kind of cheating.
No.
Just a lot of very like
Do you want to program
and
it now?
flesh.
Do you want to say here's the
I don't
order? You don't care.
I think I'm out of energy.
You're done. You're exhausted.
I mean, not really. We're just sitting here having a fine time, but that feels too specific.
Okay.
I don't know. I mean, you can do that if you want.
I've never done it before.
Yeah.
I've never programmed a festival
But
like
like,
that.
you know what I mean? Like you want to work up to your, you want to, there's a lot of thought that goes into these things.
Mm-hmm.
Like in the way that there's always a movie or two that we're like, well, that we want to watch, but that has to get saved for like the 29th, 30th, or 31st. Like,
Right. But you wouldn't want to put Halloween and House on Sorority Row next to each other.
No, you'd want to space it out.
Yeah, you'd open with Halloween, and then you'd go Pieces.
I don't know. Sure.
Okay, you won't go along with me on this.
I mean, sure. That sounds fine.
Okay.
I don't know how people make these choices.
Do you feel we've built a good Hall
There's
of
like
Fame?
a lot of things that, I think it's a lot of fun.
Okay.
I would revel in watching these 10 movies or 11 in this order. And I hope this kind of just formed an excuse to let people listen to a lot of talk about slashers now that it's October and maybe add a few things to their list.
Yeah, and we can all check in on Tipper Gore. Make sure that she's
all right.
okay.
See what Al's podcast is up to. See
I
what
discovered while you guys were talking about slashers that he appeared on the Radio Davos podcast. So if you're not subscribed to that,
I see. What was discussed there?
Climate change.
Okay, interesting.
Shocking.
That's actually, I'm going to go the other way. I feel like he's got like a shitty life where he only can talk about this now.
Okay.
Nobody's like, what do you think of the economy?
It's like
they
where
don't-
you're going to be at in 25 years and they bring you on to talk about slashers.
And be like, House on Sorority Row. Yeah.
And Sean almost got elected president of podcasts, but then they just gave it to someone else.
Who's my George W. Bush in this equation? Who's my flip side, the other coin?
Are there like podcasts you have beef with?
Blank check.
No, I love
Fair
it.
answer,
I
probably,
love
yeah.
Blank Check. No, I don't think so.
You're like,
I'm not a beef. I guess maybe George Clooney I have beef with now.
yeah, you're gonna
Does he have a pod?
come out on the bottom of that fight, I suspect.
No, he seems like a nice guy. I wish Wolf's was better.
Yeah.
What if Wolf's
Well,
was
Wolf's,
just a slasher? What if they
maybe
just
they're
revealed halfway through?
Look, they announced Wolves 2. Maybe they're saving all the good stuff for the sequel.
Definitely. All the kills. You know?
Right.
Alex Ross Perry, what else do you want to pitch? What else do you want to sell to us?
Check out Pavements next year or at a festival.
Mm-hmm.
Check out the Kim's Video Underground Instagram that I do all this stuff on that Sean and Chris Ryan will soon be featured on.
That's true.
Watch Strangeland this Halloween and let us know if I led you astray.
I got to go back to it. Okay. Alex, thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks to our producer, Bobby Wagner, for his work on this podcast. Thanks to Jack Sanders for his work on this episode as well. Tune in later this week when I don't know what's coming. Bob, what's coming out on October 28th?
Well, my computer just died, so I
Okay.
can't answer that
Well,
for you.
it'll be a really good episode. I promise. One of our best yet, for sure. We'll see you then.